Jakey and I are going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 75 fight card. We're going to give you our picks, our predictions, our bets, our fantasy plays. Then we're going to take those videos, we're going to chop them up, we're going to tweet them to the fighters and ask them what they think of the breakdowns, because we care about their opinions just as much as I'm sure they care about ours. But let's jump in. Before we talk about these fights, Jacob, I'm trying to give away money. I want to give these people money. I'll give every one of you $50. The only thing you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our betting partners, make a deposit, and I send you $50. It's affiliate marketing, right? They're going to pay us. I'm going to break off a piece of that. I'm going to give it right back to you. You can then take your $50 and become a premium member. Premium membership is only $10 a month. That's $2.50 a week. And you're going to get all sorts of stuff, including the safety parlay. It did miss last week, but even with that miss, it is up 20 units overall, almost 8 units on the year. You're also going to get all sorts of other information and tools like the line movement tracker. This week alone, we have 5 fighters that went from underdog to favorite on this card, and we have 16 total fighters that have had 20% movement on their line or more. Wild card. For the line movement tracker, you're going to get that. You're going to get the picks, the bets. You're also going to get detailed data, metrics, and analytics. So there's a lot here. It's more than just copy-paste bets. There's all sorts of tools, information, and stuff like that to help you find your own spots. It is only $10 a month, and our members are the most successful members in this space, period of end of story. We have tallied over $185,000 in winnings over the last, 5 weeks. Yeah, 5 weeks, I believe. 4 or 5 weeks, something like that.
Well, there was a guy bragging on Twitter that his members made $26,000 combined in 2022.
Wow, that's impressive for him, because we had members who made 80 grand in a clip, 13 grand in one clip.
And that motherfucker charges $150 a month. That's not even a fucking lie. That's not even a fucking lie.
It's absolutely insane.
Shit.
We've got nothing but tickets from premium members that they're sending to us to say, look what I did. Thank you for the help. Thanks for the insight. We have the sharpest premium members in the game. It is only $10 a month. You get everything you could ever imagine. There's nobody on this planet that offers what we offer, especially at this price point. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. Before we break down this card, we got a whole bunch of super chats. Let's go ahead.
Hell yeah, man. The support's been unreal. We appreciate everyone that tunes in. If you're watching this video after the fact, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you are new, and we appreciate all the support. It's been a wacky, wild week for us, and I've been sick as well, so I still kind of feel bad, but damn it, I'm here toughing it out. And if that's not worth a like, I don't know what is. You know? Yeah,
no quick picks from Jacob this week because he's just look how sick he looks. I
put on a happy face, and it's not really, in good nature to make fun of somebody with a weakened immune system because I am a cancer survivor. So,
no, you have a weak immune system for a lot more reasons than just that. Anyway, Patrick, $10, a 10 spot, saying, hope you guys had a good weekend. Let's say make some money this week. I had a great weekend. Had a nice little party at the house. That Jasmine Jazadovicius pick sailed.
Woo!
So thank you very much for the
we had $10. We had a good Friday night, because I know a lot of people, you were giving me shit all week about going to the party. My plan the whole week was to go to the party and then stream. And then I woke up Friday and I was like, still hung out Friday night, toughed it out Friday night. We had a good time, me and you in the hot tub. It got late. It got late. We got wrinkly. But and then I woke up Saturday and I was like, oh shit, this is not a good situation here. So couldn't go to the party, couldn't stream, slept literally all day Sunday. But I'm here, man. There's nobody. Can you put that donation away real quick? Don't be soft. And there's nobody harder than me right now. You know what I mean?
And Jacob and I did not go in the hot tub together. We went to Top Golf with like 12 other people. We have a $5 franc. We have 5 francs from Phantom saying, how you feeling, Jacob? And he feels great. He is hard as a rock, apparently. Thank you very much. We have a $20 super chat from Sam Pierce. Took down my first tournament last week, and I actually won 2, and he's up 22 units. Thank you guys so much. WWP is the best ever. Mr. Salamander, Hope you are feeling better. Thank you very much, Sam. This is what we're talking about. That's image I have with $185,000 in winnings over the. I don't just make that shit up. This is exactly how it happens. People tweet us. We have a whole channel in the Discord for premium members only to show their winning tickets. These guys are great. Sam, thank you so much for the super chat. Glad you made some money this weekend as well. And I think we're through it, Jakey. Boy, you ready to break down this card?
Yeah, we appreciate everyone watching. And we'll see you next week.
What?
Oh, I thought you said we were done. Okay. What if we just went boom, 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 do start picks and just ended it? 7 minutes, bam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. That'd be the longest you've ever lasted.
First up, at UFC Vegas 75, we have Modestas Bukauskas taking on Zach Pauga. Zach Pauga, 6-1 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming off the decision win over Jordan Wright. He's taking on Modestas Bukauskas, who's 14-5 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off his first UFC win after being cut 2 years ago. And Modestas is an interesting guy because he's a very versatile striker. He's dangerous on his feet. He tends to react, right? He's like a Chris Curtis. Instead of pushing the pace coming forward, he's a counter striker. He does tend to react, which can sort of get him behind on scorecards and get him in a little bit of trouble. He does have the tools to be successful in the UFC, though. He's at a 71% takedown defense. And up until his last fight, we hadn't really seen takedowns, but now we know he has the offense as well. He's coming off a decision win over Tyson Pedro, where he looked really technical and made some early contact. He's taking on Zach Pauga. And this guy's always interesting to break down because the Zach before the UFC, the Zach during the UFC are sort of different people, right? Before the UFC, he was a strong wrestler. He pumped his jab. He launched big overhands and then would shoot takedowns. The UFC version of him hasn't really attempted too many takedowns, certainly not on The Ultimate Fighter. And against Jordan Wright, he had a whole bunch of just like half-ass, went nowhere fake attempts and ended up holding him against the cage the whole time. He actually is a solid fighter. He does have the tools as well, but that last fight was very unimpressive. This is a guy that was supposed to win. What are you doing? Why are you pretending to be frozen? This was a guy that was supposed... Jesus Christ. Would you take like a gallon of NyQuil and now you're like a loopy mess?
I wish, man. Be a lot more... Make this a lot more fun.
Anyway.
Just sitting here listening to you read your goddamn teleprompter.
Zach Pauga should have blown through Jordan Wright, but he didn't. He held him against the cage the whole time. It just couldn't get that done. And for that reason, I got to be on the Bukauskas side. And this line movement is wild. Went from -110 to -125. He basically went from a pick'em to a 2-1 favorite. And I totally get he should be the favorite. On Sunday when I did quick picks, he was +140. Underdog. No, favorite. But I wish he was an underdog because that's what I was sort of hoping would happen with the line movement. I was monitoring the line. I was hoping that Zach would take off. He's the popular pick. I was hoping people would say, oh, he used to be a heavyweight, and that's what would happen. But that's not what happened. People sort of see through it. Zach could 100% win this fight by holding Modestas against the cage for 15 minutes, but I do think Modestas is just going to be the much better striker, touch him up, avoid the cage, and win probably a boring decision. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed that breakdown. Modestas came in super short notice against Tyson Pedro. Kind of got a second life at his UFC life because he's been in the UFC before, lost those fights, was out of the UFC, and you could see he really was determined and focused to make the best out of that opportunity. Looked great in that first round, as you mentioned, very, very technical, and then kind of slowed down. I'm going to chalk that up to the short notice, and I think that he was a little bit scared to blow his gas tank, so he didn't really push the way he should have pushed in that fight because you could see Tyson Pedro was absolutely fading in that fight. And he would have liked to see Modestas kind of push a little bit more to maybe try to chase a finish or kind of solidify those rounds a little bit more because he did do what he needed to do. But if he's going to keep that pace against a guy like Zach, he's probably going to end up losing the fight because Zach will push forward. He will just hold you against the cage. He had no issues just holding Jordan Wright. I mean, that was one of the most weird fights I've ever seen. But literally, it was just, I mean, he was just holding him. So, okay, if you don't want to move, I'm not going to move you. And I'll just win the fight like this. So I do worry that Modestas might, go back to the the way he used to fight, the way, kind of get, okay, I got my UFC contract again. Is he going to stay as motivated to get that, as he was to get another contract? And but he's definitely the better fighter here. He's the better overall fighter. He is the better striker. I think he's going to make the best out of his second opportunity, come in, throw some nice strike, defend the takedowns, get off the cage. He saw what happened in the Jordan Wright fight, circle off, get off the cage. And I'm not saying that Zach isn't a capable striker. He is a capable striker, but Modestas should be the faster striker, the more technical striker. And I could see if he really wants to lay on volume and really kind of work his striking and try to make a statement that he belongs to the UFC, I could see him maybe trying to find a finish, second, third round, laying on the volume, wearing down a guy like Zach who wants to clinch, wants to have a slow fight. So if I'm Modestas, pump it out there, throw the volume and look for a finish late second, late third. But, this at this point, it's not worth the play in my mind. I mean, minus 195, it's gotten way, way out of control. Modestas, he is good, but I don't trust him that much. So if you got it early, God bless you, but he is the pick. It's one of those kind of wait and see. Let's see if he really kind of turned the page on his career, but, Modestas is my pick.
Oh, I completely agree. And Zach has all the tools to win this fight. My only issue with Zach is he's sort of just slow-paced because he is athletic. He can come forward. Before the UFC, he's shooting takedowns and working that. In the UFC, that doesn't seem to be his game plan, or maybe it's just another level of opponent, and he can't really get that done. But, I mean, there's light years of difference in experience here. I think that's the difference. Web guy Josh hates the Bukauskas pick. He loves Pauga. He thinks Pauga's, so freaking good. So, we'll see what happens. Go ahead. Yeah, you don't want to get an angry text from him.
No, I respect his opinion for sure.
No, but I think I agree. No bet here. The line is insane. Zach Pauga could absolutely win this fight just literally with athletic cage control. So not worth
if he comes in and gets him to the cage and gets him down early, it's going to be like a uh-oh moment, especially the people that spent the 195 on Bukauskas.
No, yeah. I mean,
how do you say his last name? People are like making fun of how you say his last name.
I don't know. It's spelled Bukauskas.
I don't know either. I have no idea.
Anyway, $7,200 in DraftKings for Zach Pauga, $9,000 for Bukauskas, $9,000 no shot. That money should not be spent. $7,200. That actually might be worth it. Just literally that cage control. That's control time, and that adds up. So that $7,200 might be something you want to look at, but absolutely that $9,000 is total fade. Total fade. Do you agree, Jakey boy?
I agree with 95% of everything you said.
Thank you so much. Look at this. Thank you so much. Anyway, guys, become a premium member. WeOwnPicks.com. You'll unlock everything, including the line movement tracker. So right now, Bukauskas is at minus 195. Well, if you checked it the other day, it was at minus 120, 30, 50, 60, all the way up to. You can see that movement. You can see the progression. And if you wanted to be on his side, and maybe at minus 120 it made sense, you could have gotten there instead of waiting to find out on a Tuesday night that he's minus 195 and not worth it. WeOwnPicks.com. $10 a month and unlocks literally everything.
And it gets me closer to Brazil. I've already put a deposit down on a place. We're almost there. We just need probably about 5,000 more members.
We'll be right there. Well, we have
doable.
Many.
The way we're trending.
Several thousand already. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
We haven't been doing this a full year. We've been doing the show we haven't been doing premium membership for even a full year, and we have over 2,000 members. So
it's going well. We appreciate every single one of you.
It
is not lost on us.
Oh, 100%.
How incredible the support has been.
You know what? And just a quick, I'll get you back, Joe. Hold on. When we first started doing premium members, and I would get the alerts on my phone, like, we got a new one, we got a new one, we got a new one. Every single one that came through, I was like, I cannot believe this is working. And even today on Saturdays are by far it takes off. Fridays are pretty busy as well. On Fridays and Saturdays, when I just see all of those signups coming through, it's just like, I literally just sit there. I can't believe this is crazy. It's crazy that this is working.
I don't think it's crazy because we put out the best product. So you might think it's crazy, but to me, it's what should happen. I'm not surprised, motherfucker.
$10 super chat from Joey T. If you aren't a member yet, what are you waiting on? Join now. I can easily promise anyone who's not one yet, you won't regret it. My life has easily changed.
We got Joey T a girlfriend.
We got, not only did we get him a girlfriend.
We got Joey T a DraftKings win. The money came in. The girl came after. That's how it typically goes. If you guys want girlfriends, because I know nobody in the chat right now has a girlfriend. If you guys want girlfriends, you got to make the money to get the girls. We all know how. I mean, I know what I look like, so I definitely know what everyone in the chat looks like. You guys are not going to get a girl unless you get money. The best way to get money is let's become premium members. Get me to Brazil, and I'll bring you guys down to Brazil. You have money in Brazil? I mean, that's the plan. That's the goal, baby.
Joey T, you could ask him. He won over $60,000 as a premium member in DraftKings. Let's scroll our way down. We have another one from Quint. $2 super chat from Quint. He's up 11 units for UFC 289.
Oh, happy birthday, Quint.
And I'm glad you're up. I was down 63 cents on my straight bets. Jacob was up a little bit. Safety parlay was a bit of a drag.
Lock of the week was almost about to get a knockout.
Right there. That's what he does. He backs
holy
up,
shit,
loses.
You could see it coming. I mean, everyone watching that Chris Curtis fight was like, oh my God, here it comes. Here it comes. Here comes the big left hook. And then Imavov was like, fuck that. And if Cannonier was there reffing that fight, he would have shot Imavov fucking dead in his tracks for that headbutt. They weren't even considering taking a point away from Imavov. Cannonier would have fucking took that dude out like the Italians do. You know what I mean?
I do not know what you mean.
Like the Gottis, baby.
Next up at UFC Vegas 75, we have a battle of the grapplers. We have Dan Argueta taking on Ronnie Lawrence. Dan Argueta, 9-1 overall. He is 4-1 in his last 5, coming off that dominant win over Nick Aguirre. He's taking on Ronnie Lawrence, 8-2 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off that dominant loss to Said Kakhramonov.
What'd you just call him?
I can never get his. What's his first name?
Said Yokub.
Said Yokub. So we did last time. We broke down his fight. As you all know,
did you say Sideshow Bob or something?
That's what he said. So as you all know, every time we break down fighters, we clip it, we put it on Twitter, we tag him in it. Usually positive feedback.
And we've been doing that for years.
And sometimes the more insecure people will lash out, but that's what we do. We don't talk about people behind their backs. That's the coward's way out. Anyway, Said Yokub quoted it and retweeted it, and he was like, "Did this dude just call me Sideshow Bob?" Because that's everybody.
We've had so many of those, like, just absolutely positive interactions with fighters. It's incredible.
Oh, 100%. Anyway, it's a battle of the grapplers. Dan Argueta, he's short, he's stocky, he's thick. He will come running across the cage, wrap you up, and muscle you to the ground. He's got solid pressure, and when he's on top, there's almost no space. You're not scrambling out. You're not really sweeping. There's almost no space for you to do anything. And he wants to ground and pound. He's not really chasing submissions. He just wants to take you down, beat you up, and he has enough energy to do that for a very long time. He's taking on Ronnie Lawrence. Ronnie Lawrence, also a very good wrestler. He shoots. He reshoots very often. He's athletic. He's got solid footwork. He uses leg kicks really well. And his takedown numbers are insane. He's averaging more than 7 takedowns per 15 minutes, which is insanely high. But if you remember, all that really means is he can't hold anybody down. If you're going to a decision and you're getting more than 3 takedowns, that means people are standing up on you, let alone averaging 7 per fight. He does have a 77% accuracy on those takedowns, though. But he is coming off that loss to Kakhramonov, where he was taken down 10 times himself. And the easy narrative would be, well, Ronnie Lawrence just fought a wrestler and got out-wrestled, right? That's the easy narrative. And that is exactly what happened. The way Kakhramonov wrestles and the way Argueta wrestles is a little different. And Ronnie Lawrence has showed us that he is an absolute dog in a fight. When he fought, who's that Asian kid he fought? Hit like a truck.
I don't know.
Come on. Damn.
It's on your notes?
It is not. Mata? Nope. You'll get there. You'll look it up for me. Come on, Jamie. Anyway, that's the easy narrative. But we have seen him
Asian. You talking about Mana? Mana Martinez?
Martinez, Mexican. He looks Asian.
Oh, here we go again.
He's got the dark, silky hair, like light-skinned. Anyway.
Stereotypes. Here we go.
I still do think that Dan Argueta is going to win this fight. I don't think this is going to be as insanely dominant as Kakhramonov was, but I do think if you can pressure Ronnie with a wrestling pace, he has a much harder time backing up than he does have coming forward. So Dan Argueta is also tough. He has very, very good BJJ defense, and he has high pressure. He will come forward, shoot. So very low confidence pick, but I do think Dan Argueta gets it done. And a lot of people sort of agree with me. This dude opened at a plus 420
I disagree
underdog.
with that. I don't know where you're seeing that.
The odds or the...
Yeah, I see open at minus 150. Move to minus 180.
Well, we have a guy that does all this data. Who's minus 180? Oh, Ronnie Lawrence.
But I don't see anything that open at minus 550. There's no chance in fucking hell Ronnie Lawrence opened at a minus 550 after getting steamrolled by Saeed Yokub.
Well, I will ask Josh, our data guy, where he got that from, because he's
and slap his fucking wrist for even suggesting that.
Hold on, I'll tell you right now, you useless bitch. Where
There's no chance in hell.
Hold on, minus 150, minus 195. I'll find out. I'm seeing minus 220, but we'll find out. Anyway, the point is, and if you ever shit on our product again, you will be fired immediately.
You think so?
The point is...
You want to test that?
I was talking to Josh.
Oh. That's what I thought.
The point is, I think Dan can come forward, wrestle hard, and get it done in a close fight. What do you think, Jakey boy?
I was actually surprised when I was breaking down this fight. So when I obviously we've gone through this before, but I think we both do the same thing. We break down fights. We kind of decide who we think is going to win the fight, and then we look at the odds. We don't let the odds kind of affect of how we are viewing the fight, which I think is how everyone should break down the fight. By the way, there's people that are charging for picks that are admitting online that they don't even watch the fights. I saw that on Twitter too.
That guy that charges $150 says
it was like, I can't believe people actually watch the fights. I just go off by what I think. And so I was like, all right, we watch fights. I literally sit down every single Sunday and for hours and hours and watch fights. And when I was watching this fight, I thought to myself, holy shit, I might be able to get Ronnie Lawrence as an underdog in this fight, because I thought that people were going to see Dan in his last fight wrestle, dominate the grappling. They would see Saeed Yokub taking down Ronnie over and over again, and they would try to play that MMA math where, okay, Dan was getting takedowns, Ronnie was getting taken down, so Ronnie should be the underdog in this fight. And I was actually kind of surprised that he was the favorite when I checked the odds on Sunday or Monday, whatever it was. But I think he should be the favorite because the level of competition that Dan was wrestling against compared to Ronnie, and then the level of competition that Ronnie was wrestling against compared to Dan, I think is head and shoulders above each other. This is going to be a back and forth fight. I have no question in my mind that Dan's going to be in Ronnie's face, might be able to get a takedown or two because Ronnie can't get taken down. But when push comes to shove, you know, in the striking, Ronnie is the better striker. He's the more dynamic striker. He is the better striker in this matchup. Dan Argueta is kind of that stiff, just kind of holds his hands out like this, and he just kind of punches like a rock'em sock'em robot with his kind of chin out there just to kind of get to the takedowns, where Ronnie is kind of comfortable in the striking exchanges. And Ronnie is going to make you work, even if you get him taken down. He gets taken down. Oh, this monster is hitting fucking hard right now. Even if he gets taken down, he's going to make you work. Saeed Yokub was working. So I think even if he gets taken down, he's going to be able to get back to his feet, and then he's going to return the takedowns. And I think he has better top control with the takedowns than Dan in this fight. I think that's what it comes down to, is two things. He's the better striker. So if this turns into one of those weird two grapplers that turns into a striking match, he's going to dominate the striking. But when it comes to the wrestling, even if he gets taken down, I trust him to be able to get back to his feet and return the takedowns and have better control in this fight. And I think that's why he is the favorite. I just believe that he is a better kind of free-flowing MMA grappler rather than just kind of a pure wrestler. I think Dan Argueta is more just kind of a stationary, pure wrestler, get you down type situation. So I'm kind of all in on Ronnie Lawrence here. I wish I could have got him at a little bit better value, but I think these odds are correct, and I think that he should be able to win this fight. They're both tough dudes. I mean, I have no disrespect for either one of these guys. Both very, very tough. I think this could easily go, kind of that over 2.5 that it's set, and we'll see how it plays out, but Ronnie's a play for me.
I definitely think this goes over the 2.5. I'm on the other side, but I mentioned my pick was a low-confidence pick. Regarding the odds, we have confirmed. I texted you. Go look at your effing text. Wow. It was Bet Online. They were the first book to market. They opened him at minus 550. He is now minus 180. And you're not going to see that on Best Fight Odds because Best Fight Odds doesn't pull bet on lines anymore. So there's your screenshot. Do me a favor and go choke on your own genitalia.
There is no shot in hell that anyone on the face of the earth has a betting ticket on Dan Argueta.
Of course not. Of course not. That's why it collapsed on itself, but that's where it opened. And then everybody hit the other side and the line collapses, and that's what line movement is, Jacob.
No, I'm saying if it collapses, that means people would have betting slips at Dan Argueta. Nobody has a betting slip at Dan Argueta plus 300 or more. Tweet it at me if you
find out. Tweet, with your phone number. $7,500 in DraftKings, $8,700 in DraftKings. I think you just sort of pick your side here. I think this is a super close fight. Whoever gets the wrestling going is going to be the one to get it done. I think Dan Argueta gets the wrestling going. I like him at $7,500 to do that. A couple of takedowns sort of makes a difference. I like the short, stocky physicality of just nonstop coming forward. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, the one thing that's really going to add up in this fight for somebody is reversals and sweeps, which I think are 5 points as well in DraftKings. I think there's going to be a lot of those. Not only is it takedowns, but if you get a reversal, sweep, stuff like that, those are going to add up as well because there's going to be a lot of scrambles in this situation. So I think whoever wins this fight is going to score really, really well.
I agree, and I don't feel strong. Like, I think Dan Argueta wins, but I'm not going to argue with anybody. Ronnie Lawrence is a dog. I wouldn't argue with me either. We watched him be a dog against Manny Martinez, a nice Mexican fellow from Houston, Texas. And someone
did say he's half Asian, I think.
He is.
You could be right.
No, I know I am right.
That could have been the first time you've ever been right on a situation like that.
Well, I was also right about Jasmine DeVicious being the better wrestler in a fight that would involve wrestling.
I think we both were. So.
Yeah, but I'm right a solid 4 days before you are. Become a premium member, and I promise you the line movement tracker is correct. We have verified data from multiple sources. WeOwnPicks.com, $10 a month. Next up, at UFC Vegas 75, we have who at one point was the second largest favorite on this card. It was Arman Tsarukyan, Tereza Bleda. And she is taking on...
I thought it was Ronnie Lawrence. You just got done telling me it was Ronnie Lawrence.
I'm talking about, like, the last 2 days. Not the opening line, like the last 2 days.
Well, there's something going on here, guys.
You're the absolute worst. Anyway, Tereza Bleda is taking on Gabriella Fernandez. Tereza Bleda, 6-1 overall, 4-1 in her last 5. She is coming off the knockout loss to Natalia Silver in her UFC debut. She's taking on Gabriella Fernandez. She's 8-2 overall, 4-1 in her last 5, and she's coming off the grappling heavy loss to Jazzy DeVicious. Tereza Bleda is a determined grappler. She's going to come forward. She's going to work for a takedown. She's not desperate about it, right? She'll stand, she'll strike with you while moving forward. But as soon as you're comfortable or you throw a kick, you take a bad angle step, she's going to shoot in and she's going to get you to the ground. She's got great control on top. She's very methodical. And while she is a good grappler, she's much more dangerous on top than she is on bottom. And she's coming off that loss to Natalia Silver, where she did have a takedown, a handful of submission attempts, but she got stopped in the third. She's taking on Gabriella Fernandez. Gabriella just fought a few months ago. Sort of a quick turnaround here. She's a powerful striker. She's big, she's strong, she's fast, she's technical. She has solid striking and solid BJJ. Her problem is she doesn't really have much of a get-up game, and her takedown defense is not very good. So Jazzy DeVicious came in here, just out-wrestled the hell out of her, and Gabriella was almost just comfortable on bottom. Like, oh, all right, let me work my jiu-jitsu here. And obviously it went absolutely nowhere. She gave up 4 takedowns and controlled for 11 minutes. Listen, Tereza Bleda is good, but she's young. She's only 21 years old, and Gabriella Fernandez is a good striker. She was plus 235 on Sunday when I broke this down. She's now plus 210, so the line tightened just a little bit. And I think the line is wide. Like, there's a very obvious path for Tereza. Wrestle her. We just watched Jasmine do it. Come forward and wrestle her. But she is young, and she can get a little wild with the wrestling, a little wild with her submission attempts. And Gabriella hits hard and is a very, very good striker. Tereza Bleda should absolutely win this fight because the path is so clear, and we literally just watched it. The line's starting to correct itself a little bit. Potentially Gabriella Fernandez inside the distance decision, no action here, because we know how tough she is. We know she can avoid getting submitted. We know she can hang out on bottom and get beat up by a good wrestler. So that might be a bet that I place here because Gabriella is going to be the one who hits harder. Gabriella's going to be the better striker, and we can get a 21-year-old that gets a little excited, a little anxious, and sort of makes a mistake later in the fight. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed the analysis. The one thing I will mention here is that, Bleda did take down Natalia Silva, which is a very hard person to take down, a very strong person that's also good off their back, good with sweeps. She did getting swept, once or twice, something like that. She was able to get the takedowns. And the thing that I like about this that kind of put me on her a little bit more is when I watched that Jasmine fight against Gabriella. Gabriella is a big, strong girl. And when Jasmine was working takedowns out of like body lock situations, when she was just trying to get double underhooks and just kind of trying to drag and physically drag Gabriella to the ground, she was really struggling because Gabriella can just kind of posture up, get a nice strong base. She's a tall girl and just kind of hold her ground. So if Bleda was one of those people, which there's a lot of females that come in and they get takedowns with either those stupid fucking headlock takedowns or those arm drag there. Everything is like upper body with most females when it comes to takedowns. A lot of judo type stuff. If she was that type of wrestler, I'd be like, red flag, stay away from her in this fight. But when she wrestles, she wrestles. I mean, she shoots singles, she shoots doubles, she runs the pipe, she's dragging people down to the ground. She actually does that. And when you saw Jasmine finally shooting actual takedowns, when she was shooting single legs on Gabriella, man, those things were absolute. Okay. Okay, I didn't know. Okay.
Here we go.
I'll get hot now. I'm about to. Let's see a little flex, baby. Let them know. Let the Twitter folks know. Jesus Christ. Look at that day. You were cruise ready, baby. Oh, yeah. Holy shit. That tight white t-shirt in the pool was fucking popping. But yeah, when Jasmine finally shot like an actual takedown, it was very, very easy. So I think Bleda is going to be able to get the takedowns, those single legs, running the pipe, the double, whatever it is. As long as she is trying to do actual takedowns, I think it will be easy. If she comes in, and Gabriella is able to, make her level go up to a body lock and defend some takedowns. We did see Bleda get tired and then Natalia Silva fight. So there is a situation where if she comes in and can't get the takedowns, she probably will get tired. When she gets tired, she gets hit in the face. And you do not want Gabriella hitting you in the face, especially late in the fight. So I think Bleda can come in, get the takedown. She is going to be my pick. I don't think she's going to have any issues, can get that top control. I don't know if she's going to get a finish or submission or anything like that, but I think she shouldn't have any issues. But this is one of those things. Maybe let's wait and see. Let's not spend the minus 300 on Bleda quite yet. She's probably a better DraftKings play than a betting play. If you want to sprinkle, I guess, in parlays, Jesus Christ, there's 13 other fights. You don't have to press money and force money on a girl like Bleda. She should be able to get it done, but Gabriella's a big girl and she hits hard. So the pick is Bleda, but I'm staying away from my money. There's better places to be. Yeah,
no, I hear you. I agree with you. I do like that inside a distance decision, no action bet. I haven't done it yet, but I'll keep an eye on that because I'll get plus money on that for Gabriella. Gabriella.
Oh,
I think she can avoid being submitted.
Yeah, I thought you were taking I was like, oh shit.
No. It'll be plus money. She could avoid being submitted.
Well, I'll check her.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and check for us?
I can't. It's hard for me to read right now. I'm pretty juiced up.
Okay. Not as juiced as this, baby.
That's what you think, huh?
That explains the aggression for sure.
It is plus 170.
That's good money. And anybody doesn't know what that bet is, if Gabriella wins by finish, I would get paid at plus 170. If she loses a decision, just like her last fight, I get a full refund. That bet never happened. I have
like 4 of those this week, by the way.
Become a premium member. I liked them. Yes. Become a premium member. Link the Discord. You will get alerts to your phone instantly when we place these bets. And in a card like this, when the line goes crazy, you want to get those alerts. You want to get those bets. You want to hit that immediately. We don't Picks.com. It's only $10 a month. You mentioned DraftKings. Tereza Bleda, $9,500. Second most expensive fighter on this card. That's a lot of money. And, man, if it's the Jasmine fight all over again, meaning if she just beats Gabriella the same way Gabriella just lost, she's worth that $9,500. So she might actually be worth it. It's such a hard... She might be worth that because it could be takedown. So, I don't know. I'm probably not going to do it because...
should be my lineup.
She is very young. But I'd rather have Armin, honestly. in my line. Well, we'll talk about that.
How much is he? 96?
Yeah, probably. And he's most likely going to finish. Because then you have no money left.
Because Angelo doesn't know how to pick underdogs.
Next up, at UFC Vegas 75, we have Zhalgas Zhumagulov with the new haircut taking on Felipe Bunes. Zhalgas and Zhumagulov 14-8, overall 1-4 in his last 5. He is riding a 3-fight skid. He's taking on UFC newcomer Felipe Bunes. Felipe is 13-6 overall.
Bunes or Bunes. I think it's Bunes or something like that. That's how you pronounce it.
So you corrected me and you weren't even sure what it was. Awesome.
Well, I know it's not Boons.
He's
Felipe Bunes. We got Zhalgas Zhumagulov versus Felipe Bunes.
You're confusing me for
Tiffany
Tiffany
in here.
Yeah. 13-6 overall. 3-2 in his last 5, and he is making his UFC debut. Felipe Bunes is a BJJ black belt with very slick submissions. He's always looking for something on the ground, and he is insanely fast in transitions and scrambles. He's not a BJJ nerd. He'll engage, he'll strike, he'll shoot actual proper takedowns. He loves throwing sort of straights and then overhand rights and transitioning into wrestling. If you take him down, just be prepared to scramble because this dude is going to be throwing up submission after submission. He's taking on Zhalgas. Zhalgas, as you remember, was supposed to fight a little while ago. He became a sensation overnight. This dude was like a boring guy. Nobody really liked him. Not a lot of positive energy coming from the fan base. He changes his haircut and then is like the most popular MMA fighter for like 2 weeks. It was insane. That all people could do was make memes and talk about it. And good for him because he leaned into it. That's what his entire Instagram feed became. And good for him. The guy literally reinvented himself by putting a bowl on his head and just cutting across. It was absolutely insane.
It's crazy how many fighters don't understand how easy it is to just market yourself. And that's the most important thing as a fighter. If nobody cares about you, the company doesn't care about you. If nobody cares about you, you got to do something, man.
And in this case, it was a quick-ass haircut for a guy that was 1-4 in his last 5.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane the popularity he got from that. And good for him because he has had some tough breaks. He's 1-4 in his last 5, but they're quality losses, and some of them are just straight-up bullshit decisions. That loss to Charles Johnson, he was the minus 1,200 favorite at the end of the fight. Which means, anybody new here doesn't understand what the odds are. At the end of the fight, before they read the judge's scorecard, right, before it was all tallied up, you could still bet on the fight. You would have to bet $1,200 on Zhalgas to win $100 in profit. That's how sure Vegas was he was going to win, and then boom, the dude lost a bad decision. And that's just the story of his career. And it's because of his style. He's a grinding fighter. He comes forward, sort of holds you against the cage, looks to wrestle. Not like an amazingly dominant wrestle, but it's just sort of always, he looks desperate even when he isn't. But he is a good fighter. He does have solid wrestling. He does have some decent striking. He's generally pretty tough guy. And he's always going to come forward. I think he wins this fight. A lot of people are going to disagree here.
How, Sway?
I think he's going to come forward. I think he's going to grind. I think he can hold Felipe against the cage, potentially get a takedown or two, and avoid the submissions. He's a solid grappler. I don't see him getting submitted. And Felipe is sort of a fast, wild striker, but I don't think he has that just insane one-punch power. Obviously, we've seen him get some stoppages. You watch the regional tape. But Zhalgas, fighting the level of competition he's been fighting, taking on Felipe in the level of competition he's been fighting. I'm on the Zhalgas side. I did throw a small little half a unit on him. I got it at minus 150. The line is yo-yoing. So I got it at minus 150. I threw a unit for me is $100. I threw $50 on him. A lot of it had to do with the haircut. I'm buying into the hype. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I love Zhalgas. I mean, I think everyone loves Zhalgas. I think most people are going to be rooting for Zhalgas in this fight because he is deserving of a win. You know, I almost wish that the UFC kind of set him up for a win. In this situation, he is not being set up for a win because Felipe Bunes is no joke. This is not a guy that's like some 24-year-old Brazilian that hasn't fought anyone. It's making his UFC debut, and we're kind of going to see, is he real? Is he fake? This guy is no joke. I mean, this guy's got experience. This guy is very, very well-rounded, a very, very good kickboxer, a good striker. I agree, not a lot of power in his hands, but he is very fast with his hands, fast with his kicks. His takedown timings are absolutely incredible, and his control and his aggression in the grappling is like one of the fastest things. The way he is able to scramble and transition and get people's backs is absolutely insane. And if you look at his record and you go back through, he had 3 losses in a row. This dude went over to Russia and was just getting out-wrestled by all these Russians, losing decisions. He found a couple arm bars in those kind of situations. Actually, in his last fight in the ACA, he actually was winning the grappling exchanges, then won an arm bar. And I think that helped him, because he learned how to wrestle. And now his wrestling base is actually very, very strong. Not only is his defensive wrestling, but his offensive wrestling. And the thing that sets me off the most, first of all, his split win 2 fights ago was a dominant win. That was a 30-27, 30-27, 28-29 decision. He was like actually kind of laughing when they read the judges' scorecards. He dominated that fight. But against Formiga, and we know who Formiga is. He came in, UFC veteran, fought the toughest guys, as tough as, I think he's got a split loss to Cejudo. I mean, he's fought the best of the best. He came in that first round, had Formiga on his back, reversed position, was on top of Formiga in the second round. He gets his back taken. He is getting choked out. You see the toughness in Felipe and his I don't give a fuck attitude when he had that rear naked choke. I've never seen a deeper rear naked choke locked in, and the guy did not get tapped out or choked out for like 20 seconds. The way he was still fighting through that, trying to find ways. And this guy is, I am going to pass out before I tap out, because that's exactly what happened. He ended up getting choked out by a very formidable opponent in Formiga. But when I'm looking at this fight, I don't know how Zhalgas wins. I mean, if he's just pushing just crazy pace and just kind of holding against the cage, but Felipe's not a guy that you can hold against the cage. He will get off the cage, or he will throw up flying triangles. He will do what he needs to do to get in better positions. This guy, I'm telling you right now, this guy is not a guy that's going to come in, look young, get steamrolled, especially by a guy who I think we both agree is not dangerous. I mean, Zhalgas is just not a dangerous fighter. He's not dangerous with his hands. He's not dangerous with submissions. He just needs to grind out fights. And against a guy like Felipe, that's a tough ask, because this guy is good on the feet. It's good offensive wrestling, good defensive wrestling. He is dangerous absolutely everywhere, and I think he's going to get this fight done. And unfortunately for Zhalgas, I think this is the last UFC fight.
I think Felipe is good. I think he could win this fight, but
how do you think Zhalgas wins? I mean, that's like an asshole question, but it's
I told you. I think he comes forward. I think it's a lot of cage control, and I think he gets.
But you think he can just kind of
submissions,
like just hold on the hips and just hold him against the cage, and then maybe slowly get a takedown?
I would actually prefer he holds him against the cage and then full blown take him down.
That's probably I agree. I literally think that's his only path to victory. Is just kind of like we saw Zach Pauga against Jordan Wright. That's what he needs to do. But against Felipe, Felipe does not just get. I mean, that guy does not get held against the cage. I mean, he just does not. He's not one of those fighters, man. That guy is all business. He is there to finish fights and fuck people up. And Zhalgas is he might get finished in this one, man.
This is a funny narrative. Bunes is Davison Figueiredo's training partner. That everybody said all that same bullshit with what's his name 2 weeks ago, and that went absolutely fucking nowhere.
Who?
Your underdog, who we all liked him. Yeah, that he's the training partner of. Oh my god, my brain is a mess. Who's the dude that beat Petr Yan? He's wearing.
He just rolled with Merab for a little bit. Yeah.
Oh no! Rolled with Merab for a little bit. The whole thing was he's Merab's #1 training partner.
Nah, he was getting him ready for the Petr Yan fight, but anyway, lost that fight because Cristian took a point. So that's not kind of a bad example. He was rolling in that fight. I just, I don't think it's as easy as he trains with this guy, so he wins. No, I agree. I mean, you can't just copy and paste that and say, oh, he trains with Figgy, so then he's just going to dominate Zhalgas. He's his own person, but this dude is, this dude's mean, dude. This dude's mean and fast. And when he saw, I don't know if you saw it, fast. When he was getting choked out by Formiga, and he was like, I mean, that thing was deep, and he's still just kind of working, fighting hands, and then he just. Like, I'm not gonna fucking tap out. Fuck tapping out. I love that shit. That's me too. I'm gonna tap. I'm gonna pass out before I tap out. That's me too. Kids never grappled. That's him too. $7,700 in DraftKings. I imagine you're spending that
$8,500 in DraftKings. I will not spend that. I actually, I have the half a unit bet on Zhalgas at minus 150. I'm not going to spend the $8,500 in DraftKings as well. I'm not going to be double exposed there because if he wins, it is boring and it is likely not the highest scoring fight. But if you want to see all of Jacob's bets on this card, including the sneaky ones he's got on Felipe here and some others, weonpicks.com, $10 a month. You unlock literally everything: picks, bets, the tools, the information. DraftKings Optimizer, it builds lineups for you. And as you saw earlier, we have had a community with $50,000 wins, $78,000 wins, $60,000 wins, and then a whole bunch of 15s, 20s, and stuff like that. weonpicks.com, $10 a month. Next up, at UFC Vegas 75, we have another big line movement fight. We have Carlos Hernandez taking on Denise Bondar. Carlos Hernandez, 8-2 overall, 4-1 in his last 5 years, coming off that submission loss to Alan Nascimento. Dennis Bondar is 16-4 overall, 4-1 in his last 5 years, coming off that freak injury about a year ago. And Carlos Hernandez, he's a grappler. He's got okay striking, and his striking is that the accuracy. He's got some deceiving power. He isn't the most technically sound guy, though, but he's got a nice jab, and then he's got a straight right that follows. He's another one of these guys that has really slick BJJ, but doesn't have the wrestling to really dictate where that's going to go. He's going to take shots, but they're usually stuffed, and then he ends up working an upper body sort of scramble type takedown, trying to make something happen. He has been known to throw up some Hail Mary submissions like flying triangles, and he is coming out of that submission loss to Alan Nascimento where he was insanely hittable. He got blasted, dropped, and then Alan pounced. He's taking on Dennis Bondar. Dennis Bondar is wild. This guy comes charging forward. He wings punches in all directions. He drops to your legs. He picks you up. He dumps you down. On the ground, he does have submissions, but they're basics. And I'm saying that in a good way, right? He's mastered the basics. Arm bars, triangles, things like that. Head and arms. He's not going crazy. He's not going crazy. He's not doing anything unreasonable. It's just really sticking to the basics. You're going to see he's coming off a TKO loss. It was a freak injury. The dude literally broke his elbow in a scramble. This line tightened quite a bit. Dennis was minus 200 favorite. He's now minus 130 favorite. This is a recent addition to the card, but it was recent for both of them. I don't know why the UFC just sort of slapped this on the card a couple of weeks ago, but they did. Neither one of them was already on it, so I don't know what kind of shape these guys are going to be in, but let's assume they're both in solid shape. And I like Dennis Bondar in this fight. I think I was hoping to get underdog money on him. I was hoping people or the odds makers would just look at Carlos and look at the aggressive grappling and stuff like that, but we did not get underdog money on Dennis Bondar. The line is tightening. Maybe it'll continue to tighten and flip. If it does, I'll hit it because I think Dennis can get this done. I think he's got obviously he's got worlds of experience. He's got phenomenal wrestling, so he can dictate if this stays standing or if this goes to the ground. And I think he has a submission defense to survive. So I like Dennis Bondar here. Minus 130 is solid. I'm going to keep an eye on it and see if I can get even better value there. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I got better value than that. I've become a pre-member and see what I got. I mean, you can't get what I got, but I think I got him at minus 111 or something like that, which is a surprise to me because, again, when I break down these fights, I don't look at odds, and I thought that he was really going to be a big favorite. He came into the UFC, a very highly touted prospect, as a minus, I think it was like a minus 230 versus Malcolm Gordon, who I know people don't like Malcolm Gordon, but he's a formidable guy. He hits like a truck, can scramble, and in that fight you saw Bondar was kind of out-scrambled. I mean, that's why he snapped his arm in half, because he was trying to post and get out of a tough position because Malcolm was kind of out-grappling him in that situation. But that tells you how highly people thought that he was coming to UFC, and the only thing that really changed was he broke his arm, and that was a year ago, but that was, I mean, and I don't even know, did he actually break it? I think he just kind of dislocated it. Anyway, it was over a year ago, so it's not like he came in and got absolutely steamrolled. Yeah, he was kind of getting out-grappled in those tiny positions, but you could see he was working through those positions, and, you know, kind of the way Malcolm Gordon fights go, he probably wasn't going to end up winning that fight, and now you're getting a 230 favorite against a guy like Malcolm Gordon, against a guy that's not as dangerous as Malcolm Gordon, Carlos Hernandez, in my mind. I don't think he can hit like Malcolm Gordon. I don't think he's going to be as aggressive in the offensive wrestling, offensive grappling as a guy like Malcolm Gordon, and you're getting him at a value at minus 130. I got him at like minus 111. That seemed kind of crazy to me because Carlos Hernandez is susceptible to getting takedown. He's cleaned up a little bit, added some offensive wrestling to his game as well, but Bondar is going to lose to somebody who is able to either out-wrestle him or out-scramble him like Malcolm Gordon was, or is able to land big power shots, because he does get a little bit wild in the striking. He's not a very good striker. So if you can land big power shots, you're going to be able to put him away, or at least kind of deter him in that fight from shooting the takedowns. And honestly, I don't think Carlos is either one of those guys. I think it's a very, very good matchup for a guy like Bondar. I think he's able to come in, get the takedowns he needs, and look like that big prospect that everyone thought he was coming in that Malcolm Gordon fight. So I was actually surprised. I thought that this was almost kind of set up for him, and the odds would reflect that. Minus 200, minus 250, something like that. So I think you're getting good value at minus 130. Now, Carlos is a tough dude. I mean, I don't want to get it twisted. That guy's a tough dude. He's well-rounded. He knows what he's doing on the ground, on the feet. I just don't see that extra level that's going to be a threat to Bondar kind of anywhere. So I'm pretty high on Bondar in this fight, and we'll see if he lives up to the hype. He didn't in his first fight. Obviously, a weird kind of situation there, but I'm Bondar in this play. And I think that's pretty good value.
I think so too. I mean, look at his takedown average. Almost 11 per 15 minutes. Obviously, it's a skewed number because it's not like he has a whole body of work to use because it's only UFC stats there. But I think he can get the takedowns, avoid the submissions. So do you. I think $7,900 in DraftKings is incredible. DraftKings makes no sense because Bondar has been the favorite this entire time. He was never an underdog.
Did you double check that?
These are all solid numbers here. But DraftKings priced him as an underdog, and I'll take it all day. This is not a typo either. This is the actual pricing in DraftKings. No, I double-checked it because I was like, this can't be right. The actual pricing. So Bondar will be in my DraftKings lineup at $7,900, and if we get the takedown numbers out of him we got out of the last fight, just don't break your arm. Should put up some solid score there. Do you agree?
Yeah, what was the question?
If you're going to put him in your lineup at $7,900.
I think that's pretty clear.
Yep. If you want to see what a perfect lineup looks like, you can use our optimizer at WeWantPicks.com. It's going to go ahead and build lineups for you. It's pre-populated. Ownership projections, scoring projections. You click a few buttons, it'll spit out a lineup. It'll spit out 150 lineups. It's only $10 a month to unlock that and literally everything else. WeWantPicks.com. Just click become a member. $4.99 from Bub Collins. Bub says, Angelo, I used to critique your pronunciations of fighters. You've come a long way. Kudos. This $5 is for Jacob's move to Brazil.
Yes! Obrigado! Obrigado! Yes!
Thank you very much for the super chat. I feel like my pronunciations have come along. It used to be bad. Remember I would say monster rat?
Well, now you just drink a whole bunch and you just slur it so it sounds good.
You say it fast so they don't notice. Let me just do this real quick. Flash. Yeah. Here we go. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Where were we? Here we go.
What a tattoo, huh? You've got that same one.
It's right there.
He kind of, what's kind of funny about this one is it looks like he was like, got the right side done. He was like, man, that fucking nipple kind of hurt real bad. He kind of bitched out on that second nipple, it looks like. Unless it's just not done. I've heard they hurt, man. You got one around your nipple, right?
How far is it? No. No. Next up, at UFC Vegas 75, we have Kang taking on Cristian Quinonez. Kang is 18-9 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off the very fun win over Danaa Bagarai. Cristian Quinonez, 18-3 overall, 5-0 in his last 5, coming off that quick win over Khalid Taha. And Kang is a really well-rounded fighter. He uses range to keep you at distance when he wants, and then he'll use that exact same range to close the distance and work in some takedowns. He averages about 2 takedowns per fight, and once he gets you to the ground, he's got really heavy top pressure and submissions. He's coming off that win over Danaa Bagarai where he went 0 for 2 on takedowns, but he had an insane jab that entire fight. He's taking on Cristian Quinonez. That dude has relentless forward pressure. He baits you into brawls, and then he'll look to grapple. His technique is not the cleanest, but he's just nonstop coming forward, and he's going to make up for that poor technique with just pressure and pace. His pace can actually be too much. We've seen him come forward nonstop, get a takedown, and then literally keep moving. He, instead of settling and keeping the position, locking in the takedown, racking up some control time, he'll just roll right through it. And now he's in a scramble, and then maybe he ends up on bottom, and he just needs to start to slow himself down. But this should be a really fun fight. Christian's clearly going to have the pressure, the pace. Kang's probably going to have the cleaner overall technique. If Kang pumps that jab out there the exact same way he did in his last fight, he could win this fight and he could look phenomenal doing it. I think, though, that this fight's ultimately going to come down to the wrestling, and I think the nonstop pace, the forward wrestling pressure of Quinonez is going to get it done. I like Quinonez to win here, so he's going to be the pick. I was hoping for a 1.5 round line, but we got a 2.5. Almost. There's 14 fights on this card. Only 2 of them. Only freaking 2 of them are 1.5. So I hate when I don't have 1.5 to work with. But
you're going to play the over or under?
I would have done the over on a 1.5. But I do like Cristian to win this fight. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I think that this fight, you're going to be able to tell how this fight is going, I think, in the first minute or two, because in my mind, I agree with the jab. I mean, that guy's got a very, very snappy jab. And against Dana, that worked very, very well. And the thing that really worked in his favor, that could work in his favor in this fight, that didn't really deter Dana for some reason, is the leg kick. I mean, he was beating the absolute fuck out of Dana's leg. I mean, that thing was purple, swollen. It looked fucking disgusting, and Dana was still marching forward. He needs to land early leg kicks to slow down the movement of Cristian, because Cristian is just so side to side, and if he is that fluid with his movement, that jab's not going to be there in my mind. I mean, with Dana was very basic, kind of stood in front of him, so boom, boom, that jab is going to work very, very well because that guy's very, very stationary. That jab is not going to work unless you slow the movement down on Cristian, so he needs to land early leg kicks and hope they affect the movement of Cristian, in my mind, to really have a chance in this fight, because I believe he is just a little bit too technical against a guy so pressure and free-flowing as a guy like Cristian. So, I mean, this comes down to if he's able to land some heavy leg kicks, get some respect early, land that jab because he slowed down that movement a little bit, he can have some real success. He's got, oh my God, it was like a snot thing that almost just came out. I told you, I'm working through this, man. Don't be fucking soft. I'm working through this. It literally is like bubbling up in my nose right now.
You don't gotta tell me, man. Remember I had COVID 2 Christmases ago? Show didn't stop. I was filming over a break. There weren't even fights. You move, man.
I was sitting here with my cancer face, filming with stitches in.
I mean, it really is like still look like you have cancer.
Well, I probably do. I mean, this could be what this is. But, yeah, I think it's going to be the movement of Cristian that's really going to affect Kang in this matchup. He's going to find the angles necessary to land kind of the big shots and hurt Kang and maybe even find a finish in this fight. But it's going to be the angles. It's the side-to-side movement, and that's what he did in his last fight against Tafa to find that big knockout. And I think he finds the angles in this fight as well. But if Kang's able to land some early leg kicks, it could change this 180. But I got to go Cristian in this matchup.
I agree. So we're on the same page here. I think Quinonez is going to get it done. That pressure, the pace, all of that. And Kang's jab is nasty, but he's going to have to be jabbing down because I think Cristian's going to be shooting. And
I disagree.
You don't think he's going to shoot? He's
going to have fun in there. This guy's going to be a hittable guy, not a super dangerous guy. I don't think he's going to be worried about the return shots from Kang. I think he's going to be looking for another knockout.
And again, this line movement is interesting. Plus 155 to minus 162. The reason this week has such dramatic line movement, and a lot of people aren't seeing that, is because these are all bet online. And Bet Online is the first to market. At least on this card, they were the.
But if nobody's able to get the lines, then what does the opening lines mean?
People are able. If you use Bet Online, you're able to get the lines.
For like 5 seconds. I mean, those things move so fucking fast.
Okay, we've gotten opening lines before, but anyway, that's why
I got some good lines on Amanda Ribas, by the way. But UFC Jacksonville next week. We've got Amanda Ribas and Tabitha Ricci. If you guys didn't know, I was at UFC 285. There's a picture of me and Ribas right there. I watched both Ricci and Ribas in that fight. Actually, you know, I was watching Ricci do some fist bumps after her fight, so I was like, oh my God, maybe I can meet Amanda Ribas after her fight. And then sure enough, after her fight, I go down, I take a picture, I have a nice conversation with her. This was the shirt I was wearing. If you guys didn't know, and it was a great situation. After the fights, me and her went out, had a good time, had dinner, all sorts of good stuff. I was like literally just waiting for you to mute me, but You're just distracted, I guess.
I'm responding to some. There's so we simulcast to YouTube and Twitch, and some dude who's on Twitch is like, "You only have 7 people watching. Why are you not answering my comments?" Because Twitch nobody watches, but YouTube we have 320 people watching right now. So thank you very much.
That was more important for you, huh?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Anyway, you asked why is the opening line important if you can't get it? Well, depending on where you are, what you do, and how often you check. Every line you might be able to get or not get.
Wait, what the fuck did this guy just say? Hold on.
What?
MMA Jesus 420. I see his name in here all the time. Ribas and Ricci will lose.
Okay. We'll talk about that next week. I am going to mute him. But the reason that opening line is so important is because you get to see what happened. So maybe you didn't get that line because you're a normal human being that doesn't do this for a living and you checked when it's convenient for you to check. But to know that, wow, the bookies thought that Kang should be almost a 2-1 favorite, and then the Sharks or the Sharps with a P immediately hit that and run it down. That's important information to have. And then what happens after that point is also important. So Line Movement Tracker is available to you. WeWantPicks.com. It's only $10 a month for literally everything. Kang, $7,400 in DraftKings. Quinonez, $8,800 in DraftKings. I'm going to go Quinonez at that $8,800 because I do think the pressure, the pace, there could potentially be a finish here as well. But both these guys are super tough, and Kang is an affordable $7,400. I will unmute you. Can you be a normal human being now?
I have $2,000.
Okay. Actually, I'll unmute you for that because that is important. Go ahead.
Don't you ever fucking mute me again.
Oh, fuck off, turd.
I have $2,000 real life money on a parlay with Amanda Hebas and Tabitha Ricci. It is called the Hibachi Parlay. It is trademarked, and it is placed, and I've never been so confident in my girls in my life.
All right, well, that's next week. This week, are you going to do Kang or Quinonez in your lineup? I know you like Quinonez to win, but $8,800 seems kind of steep.
Oh, he's going to light his ass up. He'll probably be in my lineup.
All right, well, there you go. Next up, at UFC Vegas 75, we have Jimmy Flick taking on Alessandro Costa. Jimmy Flick, 16-6 overall. Oh, shit, I fucked my notes up for this one again.
Oh, my God, he can't even remember nothing. Let's see if he can do it off the dome. Let's see what he's got. This is a big moment here, people. By the way, I don't have nothing from. I never have. Everything I say is off the top of the dome. I just, whatever comes. I listen to my heart, everything. Let's see what Angel's got here.
What I'm doing is I'm just on WeWantPicks. I'm on WeWantPicks.com right now, and I'm just using the raw notes.
Oh my God, he found the backup notes. Here
well, so I have a spreadsheet of every fight I've ever broken down, my thoughts while watching the fight live, the notes, all of that, and I do it before they set the bout order. Then they set the bout order.
You don't even want to try to just freeball it?
Shut up. So then I do it when they set the bout order, and I copy paste a little too much. Anyway.
Let's just try freeball, man.
Next up at UFC Vegas 75, we got Jimmy Flick taking on Alessandro Costa. Jimmy Flick 16-6 overall, taking on Alessandro Costa 12-3 overall. Jimmy
Are you trying? Are you trying right now?
I am not. Jimmy Flick came back after a couple of years away. He retired from MMA for years because it was like a strained relationship with his father or something to that effect. So he left. He came back and he just got absolutely put out by Charles Johnson. But he is a grappler. He takes risks to get submissions. He's got solid takedowns. He averages a little more than 2 per fight. His striking is stiff. He does have a negative striking differential, but he uses it well to set up takedowns. And I mentioned he's coming off that loss to Charles Johnson. That was after a few years away, 2, I believe. In that fight, on his feet, he didn't really have much to offer. You'll see that he got a takedown, but it was like an instant reversal. I'm surprised that even counted as a takedown on the scorecards. He's taking on Alessandro Costa. Alessandro Costa is a solid striker. He's got pretty good takedown defense himself. His striking style is just a high, tight guard, but he is very patient. He's going to wait. He's going to find his spots. When he finally takes his hands off his face and throws, he does it with 100% intent, and he does a really nice job of just working in small combinations. He'll leap in with a left to the body and then a right to the head. He's got insane power. He can be a little low volume, though. He's coming off that stoppage loss to Amir Albazi. But if you remember, that was a short notice call-up, and it did go quite a bit. I think Costa wins this fight. He's sitting at almost 3-1 favorite here. The line sort of took off on him. If Jimmy Flick looks like he did in his last fight, then Costa should be a much larger favorite than he already is. Both of them are coming off of stoppage losses, but they were very different losses. Jimmy Flick was on his back, didn't have much to offer. Alessandro Costa was fighting. Short notice call-up, was out there against one of the top guys in the division who we just saw earn himself a title shot, controversial or not. So I think Alessandro Costa can absolutely dominate the striking, work in takedown defense, and win this fight. So he is going to be the pick. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, Jimmy Flick, I'll give him, respect where respect is due. If it goes to the ground, he's always going to be alive. Off his back, especially on top. If he gets on your back, he's always going to be live in those fights. But there was nothing in that Charles Johnson fight that looked like he wanted to be there. I mean, as soon as he was getting hit, it was like, oh no. And they kind of mentioned that in the broadcast. I think it was Felder, maybe Cruz as well, that it seemed like it was like if you have not been in the training room getting hit, you have to condition your body to be getting hit. And some of those body shots and then the headshots, it was like this guy has not been hit in a while. He did not react very favorable to getting hit, and as soon as he was getting hit a lot, he just kind of folded in that fight. And coming off the retirement, the layoff, and everything, it seems to me like he's coming in, he's collecting his check, finishing off his contract, doing what he needs to do. Maybe he'll be a free agent after that. He can do what he needs to do. But Costa should have no issues in this fight. Obviously, if he goes to the ground, Flick's going to be live, but I mean, the breakdown is simple. Jimmy Flick didn't seem like he was interested in anything in that last fight. Maybe he proves us wrong. Maybe he shows up, surprises us, but it's going to have to be on the ground to get it done, and I don't think he has ways to get to the ground. And even if he does, Costa seems knowledgeable enough to stay safe enough to finish out rounds or get back to his feet and really punish Flick. So not much of a breakdown here until Jimmy Flick proves that he was who he used to be. I'm not picking him.
Yeah, it'll be. I agree with you. It's a very short turnaround as well for Flick. I mean that fight with Charles Johnson wasn't too long ago. Didn't have
those
too
checks.
much.
Just keep those checks rolling in, baby.
Didn't have too much to offer, but like I said, maybe he just needed to knock those cobwebs off, got it out of his system, and now we're good to go. But I'm still on the Costa side. $9,400 is a lot of money to spend, but again, if this is anything like the last fight, then that may be worth it. There's a couple super expensive fighters on this card. He's probably one of the better ones, and I assume you agree with that statement.
Yeah, I'm gonna have him. I'm gonna have Bleda, and I'm gonna have Armin in my lineup.
Wow, and then just 3 empty slots.
And I'm gonna fucking dominate.
Okay, congratulations. If you want to see all of our picks, our bets, the DraftKings Optimizer, the detailed data and metrics, we have multiple spreadsheets loaded with data and metrics, and they're interactive. You can sort, you can do all the bullshit that you do with a spreadsheet and find your own spots, look at the data. Essentially, you can do your research on the website. WeWantPicks.com, only $10 a month. And actually, this comment from Dave Brune, he said, just popping in to say thanks for premium hits last week and going to watch this show tomorrow. Thanks, Dave. Dave did one of the coolest. He's an OG, man. He's been a supporter for a long time. He's a real one. He tagged me on Twitter because I guess somebody that he follows on Twitter breaks down fights, gives picks and bets and stuff like that. And that person said, I'm starting my own premium. I'm heading over to, it wasn't Patreon, it was something else, for $12.95. And Dave was like, respectfully, love the stuff, but I can't justify spending $12 on you when I get that and 100 times more from We Want Picks.
When you get all this, baby.
So he was like, good luck to you. Appreciate it. It was the most respectful way to tell that guy.
Throw it up. Come on.
Good luck, but no thanks.
Give the people what they want.
I think I've already done it. But then also a nice tag and shout out for us. So Dave's just a true gentleman, especially in Twitter. Those are hard to come by. Joel Cook talking about a guy charges $50 a month. There was a guy trolling us this past weekend charging $150 a month. It's insane what happens out there. That's honestly the reason that we have well over 2,000 members is because we're at the $10 price point, not playing these games. $2 super chat from Matt R. Jake, you got lucky on that lock of the week. My lock of the week was Due Bronx. So I guess Jake is Matt smarter than you, and I should replace you with Matt is the theme of this.
Get him on.
All right. Matty boy, let me know when you want your spot. Let's go ahead and move on. Next up, At UFC Vegas 75, we have the featured prelim. We have Hani Barcelos taking on Miles Johns. Hani Barcelos 17-4 overall, 2-3 in his last 5. He is coming off that knockout loss to Umar Nurmagomedov. Miles Johns is 13-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that decision win over Vince Morales. And this is an interesting fight because Hani Barcelos, I have the wrong graphic. Oh man, I didn't do 2 of them. God, what a sloppy mess this is.
Did you just fuck up?
I don't have the Hani Barcelos, the original graphic with the flag and the DraftKings, so just the stats one. It's been a busy week. Anyway,
do you have your notes?
Oh yeah, no, we're good.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
What I was about to say is,
oh my God, what a disaster that would have been. Oh,
yeah,
and then
God forbid Angelo uses notes breaking down.
And then Hani was like, he fought Umar, and then fucking joke.
Anyway, it's an interesting fight because Hani Barcelos is a well-rounded beast. We've been very high on him in the past. The guy has incredible striking. He's a 5-time national Brazilian champion wrestler. He has very good jiu-jitsu. And he's just great everywhere. He's knocking people down. He's out striking people. He's out working people. He's out wrestling people. He's taking on Miles Johns. Miles Johns, a very good wrestler who found power in his hands, fell in love with the power. He stopped wrestling for a while there, but just recently in his last fight, he seemed to go back to his wrestling against Vince Morales, which you'd love to see. He's got big power in his hands as well. And this is a really interesting breakdown because Hani Barcelos is better than Miles Johns pretty much everywhere, right? You guys, 5-time Brazilian national champion wrestler. The guy's phenomenal jiu-jitsu, very technical striker. He's better everywhere. Every single skill you need in MMA, Hani Barcelos is better. And that's not a dig on Miles Johns. Hani Barcelos, if he wasn't 36 years old, would have been fighting for a title at this point. But he is 36 years old. And he just got put out hard. And Miles Johns is a guy with big power. He does headhunt at times. If Miles Johns lands clean, then that's it. I mean, Hani Barcelos is 36. Not a long enough time off, in my opinion, from that knockout till now. But the reality is Hani Barcelos is better everywhere, and I have to pick him to win. And I think the fact that he just got knocked out might actually help him because he may wrestle way more, right? He may just be shooting takedown after takedown after takedown because he doesn't trust his own chin. And Miles Johns may be headhunting even more than he normally does. So I like Hani Barcelos to get it done. I think skill for skill, he's better absolutely everywhere. And yes, he was just flatlined, but he's not like a guy that has been chinny over, long periods of time. And Miles Johns may headhunt, and that may work against him. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, the breakdown was pretty much everything I was going to say. I mean, Hani is the best. I mean, he's a better fighter. I mean, he's the much better fighter. The pick is Hani in this fight for most people. But the way that dude got knocked the fuck out, and I'm telling you, that guy got knocked. I mean, he was unconscious on his back, not moving for like several minutes. At 36 years old, that is not a good situation. I think that was like 6 months ago, too. Something crazy like that. And as you mentioned, Miles Johns does have power in his hands, and he did kind of resort to his old ways in the last fight, and I hope that he comes in, honestly, and just kind of throws wild. I think that he needs to come in, get in the pocket, throw those heavy shots, and test the chin early of Hani. Let's see if he's able to respond off a big knockout, because that's one of those, I mean, sometimes you you just kind of lose your chin and you don't respond after getting knocked out, and there's some knockouts that are like life-changing knockouts. That was like a life-changing, out cold, I mean, just like frozen type knockouts. And 6 months later, to fight a guy with power in his hands like Miles Johns is, in my situation, or in my opinion, is not a good situation for Hani to be in. So Hani is the better fighter. He's probably, I wouldn't play him at minus 200, whatever the odds are right now. I think that's a little bit aggressive for somebody who just got flatlined in the last fight against a guy that has power in his hands like Miles Johns. But if Miles Johns comes in and tries to out-technical Hani, he's going to lose. I mean, he's going to lose that fight. He's not going to get the takedowns he needs. He's going to lose striking exchanges. I think he needs to get wild. I think he needs to be that guy that lost against Sexy Mexi. The reason he resorted back to the way that he used to fight was because Sexy Mexi came in, avoided the power, and was able to just kind of outwork him. But if he brings in that style that he fought Sexy Mexi with the big, wild shots, throwing big shots, because he did land a few shots against Sexy Mexi, but Sexy Mexi, as we know, is just absolutely tough as shit. If he lands on Ronnie, let's test that chin, baby. And it's not going to be a popular pick. I fully accept that Ronnie is the better fighter in this matchup. I'm thinking Miles Johns. I think he gets a little bit wild. He knows that dude just got knocked out. He gets, I think he lands a shot.
I can't argue that, right? Because he did just get knocked out cold, but Ronnie is the better fighter, so I gotta stick to my guns there. Somebody commented, here's just a quick little thing. Somebody commented, younger fighters are 75% right now. I don't know if that's a true statement or not, but what we have working right now is we have a literal nuclear physicist who reached out saying, I love what you guys are doing.
Another one, because I am as well.
Yep. I love what you guys are doing. This is what I do for a living. I've developed this tool. I want you to see it. And it's a tool for DraftKings. While we were talking, I'm like, hey, the AI, or this tool, the AI that's being used, blah, blah, blah. What if we just backed it up and used it for picks as well? So he's developing it now. I said, let's just work on it. Let's get it to pick above a certain percentage, and then we'll start to tell people about it. We'll start to make it a thing and include it in premium and all of that. The first thing he did, and I'm butchering the shit out of this, man. I don't know how this works. But the first thing he did to build this is he loaded it with statistics from every single UFC fight available, period. Right? He built all sorts of scrapers, and he's got the data. He's pulled in data, striking data, age data, body metrics, all of that from every single fight that exists on the internet. Pulled that down, loaded it into the AI. And then he teaches the AI to say, with just using the body metrics, make this decision. Then after that, then you say, okay, now using these metrics, make the decision. So I'm butchering the shit out of it, I'm oversimplifying it. But I talked to him the other day, and he said only using body metrics, only using age, stuff like that, it's already at 70% picking. And he said, if you did nothing else other than pick the younger fighter, you would be at 60%. So in the history of the UFC, the younger fighter wins 60% of the time. Then you add in reach, height, all those other things. So it's pretty interesting to see what happens. We'll release that. That'll be available for premium members at some point. But we're going to start a series where he just essentially starts walking you through building it. But I
can't believe you're still talking about this.
That comment saying younger fighters win 75% of the time sort of triggered that thought. And, here he's 7
like that?
years. He's 7 years younger.
What do you think about that? You're questioning my astrophysicist. All that Angelo equals ass.
No, congrats. You got a real Corky from Life Goes On chart going on there. So congratulations on that, Jacob. Congratulations on that.
You want to bore people more with another fascinating story? You got something up your sleeve? Let's talk about some of your neighbors. You got a lot of neighbor stories.
Here's the difference. Yeah, because I have actual friends in real. Actually, you know what? Somebody commented.
Hey.
Become a premium member. $10 a month.
We're just having a conversation. There's no need to get animated.
So somebody commented. So anybody who doesn't know, for the pay-per-views, I just film my day, whatever the hell the day is.
Oh, you did such a good job with it last week too.
We turned it into a vlog.
It's supposed to be like Saturday, a fight vlog, and it turned into here's a bunch of kids jumping in the pool.
So that's what Saturday was, hanging out with people, drinking, watched a couple of fights, but frankly, I was a little too drunk to remember to keep filming.
Oh, my God.
But we enjoyed the fights. We enjoyed the day. Somebody commented.
I went to 285 and filmed everything. Put a nice little vlog together. You're at home, have 4 seltzers, and can't even film.
One of us is a regular person. The other one is desperate for internet fame. You figure out which one is which.
Well, it comes easy.
And then somebody commented, it was like the dumbest thing. It was like, I couldn't imagine being a guest at your house throwing a camera in somebody's face as soon as they walk in.
Well, he also did mention, 40 years old, yeah. I can't believe being 40 years old.
It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. So you watched this whole thing and then went to the comments? It's like, get a life, dude. The fact that you woke up, watched this, and then were so compelled to comment that just says so much about you. It's like, Jesus Christ. You saw a yard full of people having fun, hanging out, having drinks.
He couldn't even focus on the kids.
Your takeaway was, ugh, I'd hate to be your friend. It's like, well, okay. Dumb dick.
Angel's a good friend, guys.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Guys, you want $50? You want to know how good of a friend I am? I'll give you $50. I will just give it to you.
Oh my God.
We actually don't even need to be friends. The only thing you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our betting partners using our link, and I will send you $50 as a thank you. It's that simple. $50.
I mean, you were very adamant about before this 14 fights. If we start running over, I'm just gonna fucking end the day. I can't even. I got a bedtime. My CPAP machine's almost out of batteries. I don't want to go get more batteries for the CPAP machine. And then you're telling quadratic formula stories, talking about Jesus Christ.
Next up. At UFC Vegas 75, we have Nicolas Dalby taking on Muslim Salikhov. Nicolas Dalby 21-4 overall, 3-1-1 in his last 5. He is coming off that close win over Warley Alves. He's taking on Muslim Salikhov, 19-3 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that KO win over the, now that we know, chinny Andre Fiallo. This will be another interesting fight. Muslim Salikhov's solid striker. He hits very hard. He has wrestling in his back pocket if he needs it. He holds nothing back. Everything he does is significant. And he's got solid takedown defense. That's Dalby.
Oh, that's what you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about Salikhov.
Nah, you're just pulling the shit out of me.
He's coming off that KO win over Andre Fiallo, where he did showcase that power as well as a whole bunch of spinning techniques. Nicolas Dalby has those weirdo breathing techniques that Jacob was just doing an impression of. You think he's going to pass out, that he's like gassed. It's like almost like breathing into a paper bag. But that's just like whatever the hell weirdo breathing technique he does. He's a karate-style striker. He stays mobile. Why? Because I went like that with my hands by my mouth?
No, I was just going to. There's a lot of like, oh, that's what Angelo sounds like all the time when he's eating the fucking, whatever.
Yeah.
Insert here.
Up the stairs.
Doesn't matter,
I heard
it's all the time. If you guys listen to the background of every vlog. Are you filming?
Just behind it. Anyway, Nicolas Dalby also has a traditional martial arts background. Good amount of power. He is hittable, though. He gets about one takedown per fight, but like super at a 30% hit rate. He's a well-rounded guy. He's going to work hard, but he's not dangerous at all. And these are two guys that initially you're like, all right, Dalby's got to be the much younger guy. Let me go, it's kind of a close fight. No, they're both old. Neither one of these guys are young. I think we got 39 versus 38. They're both traditional martial artists, right? We have old school karate, old school, what's Muslims? The
Kung Fu.
Yeah, Kung Fu techniques. And they both use those techniques, and it's very obvious in the cage that's how they're fighting. I do have to go with Salikhov here. I do think this is much closer to a 50-50 fight than these odds. I think Muslim's a parlay buster, frankly, at these odds, because Nicolas Dalby can come forward and can make something happen. Super close fight. I do think Muslim's going to get it done because he hits a little harder. He's got a little bit better wrestling, and I think he's just going to move a lot cleaner. So he's going to be the pick. What do you think, Jakey boy, between the 38-year-old and the 39-year-old martial artists?
Yeah, Dalby's an interesting guy because he is just all volume, all pace, but people can slow him down. And it seems like anytime people want to slow him down, they're able to slow him down. If I knew that Muslim was going to come in and just kickbox the entire time, because he is a Dagestani Russian that is a kickboxer. I mean, that's what he wants to do. He's a pure kickboxer. I think one of the breakdowns or one of the fights, they said he's got 200 kickboxing matches, something like that, something crazy. He is a kickboxer at his core, but he has started to use his wrestling more. If I knew that he was not going to use his wrestling at all, I think this is a very, very winnable fight for Dalby, because I think he would be able to outpace, outpressure, get in the face, avoid the big shots, and really kind of work the volume against a guy like Muslim, who is more of the power, the big spinning stuff, the weird stuff, that type of stuff. But When people want to slow Dalby down, they are able to get to his legs, either pressure against the fence and then work takedowns, get him flat on his back, and he is susceptible to being controlled in those type of positions. And I've seen Muslim in his last few fights, and when things aren't really going his way, when he wants to kind of slow the pace down, when he's missing the big shots, he wants to catch a breath, he's able to get those takedowns because he does have that in his back pocket. So, unfortunately, for a guy like Nicolas W, it's fun to watch. It's wild to hear all that breathing and stuff. It sounds like he's about to pass out and die at any moment, but that's what he does to kind of pace himself. I just think that it's going to be a 50-50 fight. He's going to be working. You're going to see him have success, and then he's going to be on his back. And then the next round's going to start. He's going to be pushing. He's going to be pushing. He's going to have success, and then he's going to be back on his back, and then Muslim might land a big shot in between kind of those takedown attempts. So it's unfortunate. I don't feel great about it. I don't think Muslim is a guy that's going to come in and just absolutely dominate, but I think he's going to do enough and have the timing and the takedowns to control and slow the fight down when he needs to. But if he comes in and just tries to throw volume, throw the big shots and tries to knock out Nicolas, there is definitely a world where Nicolas is able to kind of push the pace, push the pressure, wear him down, and win this fight, or maybe even find like a late TKO with kind of those volume shots. But it's unfortunate. I'll probably be rooting for Nicolas. Live stream, we might throw something on there, but I think Muslim's
you are
a
going to
play.
live stream?
The fuck kind of tone was that? I don't know what that means.
Well, yesterday you were on death's door and couldn't film a Quick Picks video, so I just didn't know where you were physically or mentally. It's been cloudy outside the last 2 days. I know that fucking sends you in a spiral.
What is happening right now? I don't know where this attitude.
I don't know why.
Do you know how I got sick?
I don't know either.
You know how I got sick? You're gonna like this. I'm pretty sure I got sick.
You know how you got sick? No. How?
I'm pretty sure I know how I got sick. Do you want to break down this fight and then we'll finish this and then I'll tell you.
Yeah. DraftKings $7,000 and 9,200. I think this is a super close fight. So while I have Muslim winning, the value is probably Nicolas Dalby at $7,000. That's an incredible price point for a guy that does have a path to victory, but I don't think I'm going to have either one of these guys in my lineup. We have 28 fighters to pick from. I'll look at somebody I'm a little more short on. What do you think of DraftKings?
Yeah, I don't like either one of these. I think Muslim at 92 is a little too expensive. Dalby's a durable guy. He's a tough dude, and he's got that volume as well. So I think this is a stay away from both sides, probably.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that statement. WeWantPicks.com. You unlock literally everything, including the safety parlay. Koala Analytics said this is a terrible card to parlay. I don't disagree, Koala. You know how hard it was for me to put together a safety parlay, and I had to do a mixed bag of money line and prop bet.
Talk about being a pussy and crying.
To make that happen, WeWantPicks.com. It's only $10 a month. You unlock everything, including that safety parlay, which is up 8 units on the year, 20 units since we have been using it. Jakey boy, what was your story?
Oh, how I got sick. Yeah, so the last week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, something like that, every time I walk into my master bathroom, there was some weird smell, and I could not figure out. It wasn't all the time. It was some part of the days, and sometimes it wasn't. It was this kind of weird smell going on that I could not figure it out. So last week on Sunday or Monday, something like that, I cleaned my entire bathroom. It was there's something going on here where it's something really smells in this situation. I could not figure it out. So I literally cleaned the entire thing. And after I cleaned it, I was like, oh, it must have just been some disgusting, I don't know, puddle of whatever that was just sitting there festering that I cleaned up because the smell went away. Next day, smell comes back. Couldn't figure it out. So then I was maybe because every time the air kicked on, that's when I was smelling it more because there was air circulating. So I was maybe there's something in the vent, maybe there's, I don't know, maybe there's mold in the vent or something. So I get up on my counter and I'm trying to look in the vent, smell in the vent because the air is on, but it's not coming from there. And then my exhaust fan, I'm I think it's coming from my exhaust fan that goes outside. You turn the fan on, that exhaust outside. And then I'm listening and I can hear stuff in the exhaust fan and it's birds or something. I take the exhaust fan cover up and I put my face there and go, and it's the most disgusting smell in the entire world. No, it's got to be bird. There's just birds living in the exhaust fan, and that was on Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday, where I got this whiff, and then I literally took an Amazon box. I'm boarding up this fucking thing, so it's hitting me in my face the rest of the day. My nose was hurting and stuff from this smell. Thursday, also my throat starts hurting. I get sick. Listen, I am a Hurricane Irma survivor. By the way, you left me Hurricane Irma. You left me in Florida. Hurricane Irma. You were gone. You were texting me the next day. My house is just. You're like, can you go check on my house? I'm trying to just survive in Florida. I'm a Hurricane Irma survivor. I'm a black widow bite survivor. I got bit by a black widow on my foot. Almost lost my foot. Survivor. I am a cancer survivor. I am a 2-time COVID survivor. And now, if I make it out of this, I believe that I'm a bird flu survivor. I really believe that I'm a bird flu survivor because that hit me like a ton of fucking bricks. I got sick over the weekend, and we're trying to push through this thing, man.
And you survived multiple enemas as a kid?
Well, those are...
You survived bullying, just intense bullying. You survived
Here comes this
all sorts of stuff. All sorts of stuff. I agree. You are a survivor. A lot of other people would have checked out a while ago. Like, looked in the mirror and be like, no, not for me.
Here I am.
This is not what I signed up for. So congratulations on all your success. I'm glad that the $2 that I donate to the Jimmy Fund end up with somebody like you. Well done. Next up, at UFC Vegas 75, we have Nicolas Mata taking on Manuel Torres. Nicolas Mata, 13-4 overall. 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that knockout win over Cameron Van Camp. He's taking on Manuel Torres, 13-2 overall. 4-1 in his last 5, and he is riding a 4-fight stoppage streak. Nicolas Mata is a very good striker. He's explosive. He's athletic. He moves really well. He's got speed. He's diverse with his strikes. Solid takedown defense at 100%. And that allows him to be loose with his striking. He does a very good job being patient, but then pouring it on when he sees his opportunity. He's taking on Manuel Torres. This guy's well-rounded. He's dangerous striking. He's dangerous grappling. He isn't technical, but he does use knees from the clinch really well, and he loves throwing head kicks and leg kicks. He's a super long guy, and he uses his length really well. When he's grappling, he's using the long guy techniques. He's doing power guillotines, head and arm, like just anything that can use these long limbs. He's using them, and he uses it striking as well. He doesn't have the greatest distance control, but if he gets that Muay Thai plum going, his hips are so far away, and he just sends them right up the middle. So another pretty dangerous guy here. This is a good matchup. We got two solid prospects. Both of these guys are technically sound, willing to engage. I actually like Mata here. I think he's going to be the more powerful striker. I think he could have success avoiding that Muay Thai plum and getting some takedowns. Manuel's going to have the BJJ advantage, but getting it to the ground is going to be a really tall task, and we could potentially see some guard pulling or butt scooting from Manuel. So I'm going Nicolas Mata here. I think he gets it done. Solid underdog money. I haven't done anything with that just yet. What I was hoping to do is make myself a nice little parlay with this. Does not go the distance, but for now, that line is locked. What do you think, Shaky boy?
Yeah, Manuel Torres, I get it. You know, he's got all the finishes. He's a well-rounded fighter. He looks the part, but when I'm watching this dude fight, especially in the striking, I think that he is a very, very overrated striker. And the thing that deters me the most in this fight is when he throws that right hand. When he throws that right hand and he loads up on that right hand, even when he throws it tight, but he tends to load it up because he wants to get those knockouts, he leaves himself exposed and that chin is hanging. And you saw what happens when people do that against Nicolas Mata, because Nicolas Mata, I'm a little bit biased. He is the man that destroyed my 10-fight lock of the week streak. He fought Cameron Van Camp, Indiana's own Cameron Van Camp, and that dude was another tall guy, had power in his hands, wasn't as fast as Manuel Torres, but when he was throwing that right hand, he was leaving his chin up. Nicolas Mata made that read very, very early. You saw him working to land that left hand. And when he landed that left hand, he means business with that left hand and dropped Van Camp. And I see the exact same thing happening here. Maybe Manuel comes in, knows the striking of Nicolas and goes to his grappling. I think he should. I think he should be shooting takedowns and try to work the ground game on Nicolas Mata, because if he comes in and just high and mighty, I'm going to get another knockout, I'm the guy. I mean, you could tell he's very confident in himself, right? You could tell the way that he fights, he's a very confident guy. You can't touch me. I'm the guy. I'm the young kid. I'm knocking everywhere. All these first-round finishes. finishes, if he comes in and is throwing that right hand and he's holding that chin up, that left hand from Nicolas Mata is going to land exactly like it did against a Cameron Van Camp, and he is going to be put the fuck out. So this is going to come down to, is Manuel going to wrestle, or is he going to try and strike with this guy? And if he tries to strike with this guy and he is throwing that right hand, Mata's going to land that left hand and knock him out. And I think he's going to come in, have that chest puffed out, think he's going to knock out the smaller guy in Mata, and he's going to get put out, man. I like Mata in this matchup. That left hand's going to be there.
I'm surprised we are on the same side here. But yeah, I like Nicolas Mata. I think Manuel Torres needs to get it to the ground, and his wrestling is not great. So we might see some real nerd stuff going on there to get it down. Nicolas Mata so far, his takedown defense has held up. It's not the largest sample size, but has not been taken down just yet. I am going to spend the $7,300 in DraftKings, especially when we got a couple of juiced favorites that should be able to get it done. I'm assuming you will as well.
What, Mata?
Yeah, in DraftKings.
I don't know.
$7,300. What the hell else could you want from somebody? All right, well, I don't care. I do like the does not go the distance bet. It's juiced. It's like -2 something right now. But once that opens for a parlay, Koala mentioned it's a hard card to parlay. That is a prop that you can parlay with some others. Find yourself a nice spot. Right now, BetOnline has it, but it is locked. But as soon as it's unlocked, I'll probably make something happen. If you want to see that, make sure you become a premium member, because the very second we place bets, you get an alert through Discord. You get your phone will go bzz, bzz. You look and Angelo placed this bet. Oh, Jacob placed this bet. And then if you like it, great. You could hop on it before the line moves. If you don't, you'd put your phone back down and you get on with your day. WeWantPicks.com. It's only $10 a month. You unlock literally everything. Next up at UFC Vegas 75, we have Pat Sabatini taking on Lucas Almeida. Pat Sabatini, 17-4 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming off that quick knockout loss to Damon Jackson. He's taking on Lucas Almeida, 14-1 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, and he is coming off his first UFC win. As we know, Pat Sabatini is a very dangerous grappler. He's got good wrestling, solid pressure on top. His grappling is incredible, and he is always live for a submission. He's got some technical striking, but he seems a little stiff, right? Doesn't really put it together super well, but he does have technical striking. Solid footwork, even though he's stiff, if that makes sense, right? His feet are where they're supposed to be. His hands are where they're supposed to be, but he's not flowing. He is averaging almost 4 takedowns per fight. He's coming off his first UFC loss, and that was to Damon Jackson. He was knocked out, but in fairness to Pat Sabatini, he almost didn't have time to do anything because Damon Jackson just came charging across, throwing hard, and then he caught him. But before that, we did see him get dropped and then pull off a wild heel hook. So
against who? Is that in your notes?
Jamal Emmers. You could question his chin if you'd like. He's taking on Lucas Almeida. He's a very powerful striker. He loves throwing a heavy 1-2. He comes forward. He sets up a big right hand, and then he just looks for a finish, right? He's going to march forward, throwing whatever the hell he needs to find that finish. But he is aware enough to know that he is a striker and not a grappler. We've seen him multiple times end up on top. Whether it was a scramble situation or what have you, end up on top. And if things get a little dicey, he goes, nope, stands up, resets, and is happy to get back to his feet and fight. And I think that's what we see here. I think we see Lucas Almeida staying on the outside, throwing big, avoiding takedowns, avoiding strikes. The reality is Lucas Almeida's takedowns defense could use a little bit of work. And I do think Pat Sabatini getting knocked out the way he did is just going to make him double down or even triple down on the grappling and the wrestling. And I think he can get it done with the grappling, with the wrestling. I think he's going to come forward, shoot. He's got some actual takedowns. He's not a jiu-jitsu nerd. And even when his brains get scrambled a little bit, he's still live, as we saw with Jamal Evers. So I do think Pat Sabatini wins. I'm going to wait because we've seen him get hit. We've seen what happens when he gets hit hard. Lucas hits hard. So the bet, in all likelihood, will be Lucas Almeida inside the distance decision, no action, because I think even if he does get taken down, he can
wonder where you got that idea.
Well, I don't know. I said it on fucking Sunday, and you didn't place your bet till yesterday. So you tell me who had that idea first.
Me, like the rest of the world, doesn't watch any of your shit. So
little baby bitch. Let's hear your breakdown.
Listen.
I gotta piss. Say your stupid shit while I piss.
All right, here we go. Oh, man. Oh, here we go. Let's have some fun here. Listen, guys. There is nobody in the entire world, and everyone in the chat that's an OG We Want Picks fan knows that there was nobody in the entire world that was a bigger Pat Sabatini fan than me. He was my lock of the week. Even when he was a minus 200 favorite, he was my lock of the week. It didn't matter. No matter what he did, I said that this guy had the mentality and the abilities to become a future champion in the UFC. And I thought he was on the path to absolute greatness, to dominate the featherweight division and become a champion. And I was touting him the entire way. Let me tell you right now, I'm done. I'm done with him. I'm done with I cannot do it with this guy anymore. I understand the grappling prowess that this guy possesses. I understand if he gets the takedowns. He hasn't really shown that he's like an absolute finisher, and he's talked about trying to improve, becoming a finisher, especially on the ground, but he has great control. I mean, his control in top position is absolutely insane, so I don't want to discredit his grappling at all. But this guy and that entire Renzo Gracie Philly camp, outside of Petrosky, has made zero improvements in their striking. It is absolutely amazing in 4 years that this guy has not improved in my mind as a striker in these fights. And against a guy like Lucas Almeida, who throws strikes right down the pipe. He's not a big, powerful guy. There's not a lot of big, powerful featherweights that are just one punch knocking out people. But the way he is able to land accurately against a guy like Pat Sabatini, who has shown had to have chin issues, you don't need power, you need accuracy, and Lucas Almeida is very accurate when he throws strikes right down the pipe. And Pat Sabatini will hang out on the feet because I believe he does think that he is making striking improvements. I'm sure in that camp they're like, oh my God, look at we're hitting mitts, we're doing good. I'm done with that camp completely. I am biased. You probably shouldn't listen to me. If he gets the control, he can probably win this fight. I don't think he's going to find submissions against a guy like Lucas. Lucas is a black belt himself, too. He knows how to stay safe. I love the inside the distance decision, no action play for Lucas. That's why I played it before Angelo even mentioned it.
I mentioned it on Sunday.
Excuse me. And I think that Lucas is able to find the shot. I mean, I just cannot trust Pat Sabatini to this point. I hope. You know, if he comes in and gets the wrestling and the grappling and wins, you know, maybe we'll jump back on that train. But I am fully off, to everyone's surprise, the Pat Sabatini train. And I'm going Lucas Almeida this week. I think he's the better striker and what could end up being a mostly striking matchup.
All right, well.
You're usually not on bottom. This is fun for me.
Yeah, I'm going to switch it in a second. Don't you worry.
You know what I
mean? No.
Usually I'm struggling to breathe, but I'm having fun up here.
I hear where you're coming from. I give Pat a lot more credit for his striking than you will. And his takedowns are what's impressive to me. He's not just a jiu-jitsu nerd desperately trying to get it to the ground. He will shoot real takedowns and outwork people to get it there. $9,100 in DraftKings does feel a little steep. But if he wins and it's all those takedowns, all that control time, he's going to score really, really well. $7,100, are you going to take that risk in your DraftKings?
I think I might.
All right. Well, congratulations to you. I did just place that bet, the inside the distance decision, no action bet. I threw $100 on it, which is one unit. It is plus 100.
Wow.
What did you get it at?
That's a big old.
What'd you get it at?
Plus 120.
Well, and this is why premium members need to link their Discord, because you would have seen it when Jacob placed it. You would have gotten that plus 120 if you like that bet. I don't advocate blindly tailing, but if you like a bet, you see it, and it makes sense to you, then that's why it's so important to link your Discord. If you're a premium member, if you're not, it's only $10 a month. What are you waiting for? And here's a vouch. Revenant, $20 super chat, says, I'm up 60 plus units over the last 6 events, and that's nowhere near the rest of some of the other WWP premium members. Join today. You won't regret it. Thanks, Angelo, Jacob, and the rest of the WWE crew. I mean, I'm going to sales pitch it.
huh?
WWP. I'm going to sales pitch it all the time because that's what I do, and it's working. But, I mean, this is from the community themselves. Thank you very much, Revenant. Very generous of you, and really appreciate the kind words. And then we have a $2 super chat from Matt R. Opinion on Almeida inside the distance decision, no action, plus 120. Well, We both like it, and I did see that you posted that right before I went pee-pees. Let's go ahead and put the world back in order. There we go. Everything makes sense again. Next up, at UFC Vegas 75, we have Armen Petrosyan taking on Cristian Duncan. Armen Petrosyan 7-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He is coming off a decision win over AJ Dobson. Cristian Duncan undefeated in his career. He's coming off a knockout win in his UFC debut. Cristian Duncan is a high-pressure guy. He has 7 finishes in 8 fights. He's got multiple regional titles, and now he has a UFC win. He's a powerful striker. He comes forward with pressure, speed, and creativity. He throws anything and everything at his opponents. He has absolutely no regard with what comes back his way. He is coming off that knockout win over Dusko Todorovic, where he needed only 14 strikes to get it done. He's taking on Armen Petrosyan. Armen Petrosyan is a professional kickboxer. At least he was a professional kickboxer. He can be a bit of a brawler at times. He does rely on his chin. He does not have the best takedown defense, but he has an incredible scramble and get-up skills. But he is going to come forward and just absolutely bomb away. He, too, just relies on that chin. So we got 2 guys that are going to slug it out in this fight.
Yeah, what did you say about the Dushko fight?
I said he was taken down 3 times, but only gave up 49 seconds of... No, that was AJ Dobson. The win over Dusko Todorovic for Cristian Duncan, he only needed 14 strikes to get it done. Why?
Wow, yeah, it was a big knockout, wasn't it?
What is happening? Did I screw something up? Is that where you're going with this?
I mean, Dushko just blew out his knee, and that was the end of the fight.
But he was coming forward and just absolutely blasting away. He got it done. And that's the point. He only needed 2 minutes. And the reason he blew out his knee is because he was checking those kicks. And I actually have that right here. Let's go ahead and talk about it. This should be a really fun fight. Christian Leroy Duncan probably should get it done because even though Armen isn't a ranked guy in the division, he is a skilled striker. He's not afraid to engage, so we're going to have a firefight here. I do think Christian wins, but I don't want him to go all in on an early knockout. Armen is tough, solid chin. Not crazy that he weathers this early storm and then gets it done later. We haven't seen that yet out of Christian. He is an affordable minus 145 right now. So I do think Christian gets it done. I think he's going to come forward, stay tough, and then get Armen backing up. But we know Armen's just going to bite and swing. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I almost see this exact same way as, funny enough, as the Christian and Kang fight, where Kang was kind of the more technical guy, and Armen is probably the more technical type kickboxer in this matchup. But it's going to be the movement. I think in that fight, Christian is going to have the movement to find the angles on a guy like Kang, who was a little bit more, technical, a little bit more solid in his stance, and a little bit more stiff in the way that he goes about doing things. And I think this Christian is kind of the same way. When he fights, he is very, very fluid. He's a confident fighter, and everything is so... I mean, I keep using the word fluid, but I don't know. At this point, I mean, this breakdown is fucking so goddamn long. I'm dying here, but I mean, he is a more fluid striker. I think he's going to be able to find the angles on the more technical strike of Armen. I mean, Armen is just seems like he's just kind of like a wired guy, the way he's just standing there like da 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 da. And Christian is just bah bah bah. I think he's going to find the angles and find the shots needed to really kind of hurt a technical striker in Armen, and I think that's how kind of simple this breakdown is. I like Christian as a prospect. I really liked him in that Dushko fight because I think Dushko needed the takedowns. I didn't think he was going to get them, and obviously that fight ended the way it ended, so you couldn't really tell what Christian was going to be. But this is a great matchup for him, a striking matchup, and I think he's able to get it done. I think he's a real prospect, and CDL is going to get this job done.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of people loving Armen Petrosyan here, which I get. He has a former professional kickboxer. He does have a chin, and he will brawl it out. But I think he might have a little bit of trouble with sort of the pressure, the pace, and the fact that Cristian Duncan's not going to back down. He will also swing away. So yes, we're on the same page here. $8,600 in DraftKings seems a bit steep, but if you think he wins, and if you think he wins by finish, that's going to be well worth the money. You going to spend that money?
What?
Are you going to put Cristian Duncan in your fucking DraftKings lineup?
I'll tell you, I'm dying, man. This sickness, the bird flu, is catching up to me. My nose is just like...
We'll take an answer, though. I'll take an answer to the question.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't looked at it. Be honest with you. Check back. Just be honest with the people.
Yeah, thanks so much. Next up, at UFC Vegas 75, we have Arman Tsarukyan taking on Joaquim Silva. I am not going to spend a ton of time on this one.
Arman wins.
Arman Tsarukyan, 19-3 overall. He's 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming off the wrestle heavy win over Damir Ismagulov, and he's taking on Joaquim Silva, 12-3 overall, 2-3 in his last 5. He's coming off that knockout win over Jimmy Flick. Arman's a minus 1,100 favorite, a minus 1,000 favorite, depending on the book. There's no reason to spend a ton of time on this. Arman should be able to dominate. He's got the wrestling. He should be able to avoid any submissions that Joaquim is going to hit him with. Like, the power shouldn't be that big of a deal, but Joaquim does hit like an absolute truck. He does have BJJ. I don't think any of that matters because he's going to be defending takedowns the entire time. Arman is a very obvious minus 1,000. The props are a bit juiced as well. You know, Joaquim, I mentioned, he is a very good BJJ guy. He's got very good hands, but he does like to strike more than grapple. I don't think any of that matters. I think this is just sort of a one-sided beating. We do have a 1.5 round line, and that's a tricky line, though, in my opinion, because Arman's been to decisions. So it's not like he's just ripping everybody's head off, but he is ripping a lot of people's heads off. So it's just tricky because Arman is definitely going to take Joaquim Silva down without question. And Joaquim does have that BJJ black belt. So he actually should be able to survive a little bit, but you know, he may just get Joel Alvarez than just get beat into what seems like retirement. But Arman Tsarukyan's the easy pick. I'll tell you right now, he is not in the safety parlay. I almost took the coward's way out and put him in the safety parlay. Like, hey, fuck it. It's called safety parlay, and he's the safest guy in this card, but it does nothing. A minus 1,000. You guys are definitely going to share with us your betting slips when it's all said and done, and a bunch of you are going to have Arman in there. Minus 1,000 does nothing for you. It is not worth the risk for the extra $2. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time either. I'm a very obvious, if you guys know, follow my picks. I don't like Arman. There's something about Arman. I've picked against Arman in his last 3 fights. I really thought that Damir was going to be finally the guy to expose him with the takedown defense. He actually defended more takedowns than Arman got. I think he defended 13 of his takedowns or something like that. He looked good.
7 for 20. Yeah, he went 7 for 21.
Go ahead. So go ahead and just step all over my fucking analysis.
He defended 14 takedowns.
Yeah, it's at 13, so it's pretty fucking close.
You're going to be a miserable goblin. Go ahead.
Anyway, but Arman's going to be the pick. I watch out for those knees. I think you said he knocked out Jimmy Flick, but it was Jesse Ronson. He timed that knee perfectly, and it seemed like it. Pretty sure you said Jimmy Flick.
I didn't mention any knockout.
You said coming off the knockout of Jimmy Flick when you're talking about Joaquim Silva because he knocked out Jesse Ronson.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, so, yeah. You want to apologize.
He knocked out Jimmy Ronson, and he looked fantastic in that fight.
But it wasn't like a wild knee that he landed. It was a timed knee because after he did it, he pointed at his coach and was like, "You were right. It was there. It was ready." So I mean, look for something weird like that. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for something like that to land. I mean, he just did it. But Arman's, I mean, as much as it pains me to say it, Arman's a good fighter. He knows what he's doing. He's gonna get the takedowns. He might get a finish. And I can't wait for him to get exposed finally by somebody. I don't know why I can't stand that guy. I just think I can't stand him.
I think it all started with the Joel Alvarez. Because you were on the Joel side like the rest of the goblins.
Well, and then
he just beat that dude into retirement.
And then Gamrot just absolutely beat the fucking piss out of him.
That was a razor-thin fight, dude.
I mean, Gamrot absolutely embarrassed him, exposed him. And then my dude Damir was supposed to do the exact same thing and really drop the ball. Would have sent Arman out of the UFC. Arman would be a PFL champion right now if Damir showed up.
You know what's so funny? Somebody's going to think you're 100% serious right now, and it's just...
I am 100% serious.
That Arman would have been cut if he lost his last fight.
If the Damir I know showed up, he would have put Arman out of the UFC. Yeah, that's 100%.
But guess what's happened? He spent 9 minutes on his back after giving up 7 takedowns. I'm going to spend the $9,800 on Arman. That's an insane price point, but he's an insane favorite. And I think he's going to get it done. I think he does win by finish. If it was a 2.5 round line, I would do the under. Even Arman inside the distance is not great odds. But I'll do the $9,800 because even if there's not a finish, that's a whole bunch of control time. You going to spend the $9,800 or you just hate him so much you're going to spite your own lineup?
I might spite my own lineup.
Okay, well.
And honestly, I have no reason. And when I say I like hate people, I mean because I know these are gonna end up on Twitter and the fighters might watch them and stuff like that. I don't actually hate people. Like I always say like I hate Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad's a great guy. He's a funny dude. I just hate his style of fighting. I just can't stand the style of fighting with Arman. So I'm sure he's a great guy and whatever it is. So I don't hate him as a person, but pass.
You are a cute goblin, says Sting.
Whisper it in my ear.
Jacob would need to have a girl first for Arman to take her away. Guys, if you want to become a premium member,
couldn't handle the women that I'm with. Couldn't handle the fucking women. I'm dating women 6'3" with Adam's apples.
380.
He couldn't handle those women. Strong ass women. Put your whole fucking hand around my neck.
WeWantPicks.com. Become a premium member, and maybe you will see pictures of those women. You beat me to it with the Adam's apple.
Self-deprecating humor. Nobody better.
Well, that's what years of getting bullied on the bus will do that.
Speaking of emotional Italians.
Next up at UFC Vegas 75, we have Marvin Vettori taking on Jared Cannonier. Marvin Vettori, 19-5 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off the controversial win over Roman Dolidze. He's taking on Jared Cannonier, 16-6 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off that split decision win over Sean Strickland. I'll tell you right now, neither one of these guys won their last fight. All right, so there's the even playing field for anybody saying Marvin shouldn't have won. Neither one of these guys won their last fight. They both should have lost. The judges got it wrong. They were close, though. But anyway, Marvin Vettori is a grappler at his core, but he has developed striking over time. He's got a good set of takedowns. He's going to go body locks. He's going to do hit-and-run doubles. His striking continues to improve. He's gotten very comfortable trading with people. He's got a positive striking differential. He averages almost 2 takedowns per fight. And he has a 75% takedown defense. Since 2016, he has only lost to Izzy and Robert Whittaker. He's taken on Jared Cannonier, 16-6. This guy has a good-sized career with a ton of finishes and fights in multiple weight classes. He's come all the way down from heavyweight, and he's now just a giant man at middleweight. He's a powerful guy. He's incredibly dangerous. He switches from southpaw to orthodox. He throws kicks from both sides. He's got solid grappling defense, and he is massive for this division. He only has 2 takedowns in the UFC, but if he does somehow end up on top, he's got a ton of power and pressure. Jared Cannonier is a very, very dangerous man, but I don't know what he's going to do to Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori's head is built like a station wagon, so you're not going to knock this dude out. Marvin Vettori's going to be the better grappler. He's got great wrestling defense, good wrestling offense. Like, I don't know what Jared Cannonier is going to do here. If Marvin had a human chin, this would be a different situation, but he doesn't. So I think a takedown's off the table. Jared Cannonier can be low volume. Marvin Vettori is not. We only saw him getting, Jacob mentioned he's an emotional time. He is emotional. When he fought Izzy the first time. When he fought Izzy the first time.
You guys.
When he fought Izzy the first time, it was a very close fight. A very close fight, their first fight. He could have won, frankly. The second time, he was emotional. And he would just, he wouldn't wrestle.
He won the fight.
He wouldn't do what he was supposed to do because he was just so emotional. He's not going to be like that in this fight. Yes, a lot of people think he lost to Roman Dolidze. Well, a lot of people think Jared Cannonier lost to Sean Strickland. So Marvin Vettori's going to win. I have a money line on him. I overpaid. I way overpaid for the money line. You're going to get him at minus 112. Again, I don't know how Jared Cannonier can win this fight. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, and I think the thing that we need to touch on kind of the most, which I think kind of sets these fighters apart, is the age. I mean, we mentioned the age gap before. We brought the quadratic equation into the I can't even fucking think at this point. I mean, holy shit! But wait, you got to pee? You doing the potty dance?
No, you're melting.
I mean, you look like you were doing the potty dance a little bit.
No,
you got pee? You got TT? But I mean, Jared Cannonier is 39 years old. And obviously, he doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like he's really slowing down too much, but he is 39 years old. Vettori, 29 years old, still not even reaching the prime of his career. In his mind, he still thinks he can be the world champion. I think that's kind of left the Jared Cannonier. I think Jared Cannonier at this point realizes he's going to have to win probably 2, maybe 3 more fights to get a title shot. At that point, he's going to be 42 years old. It's probably out of the picture. Marvin Vettori is still a confident guy. I mean, this guy believes that he beat Izzy twice. I mean, he thinks that he is a world champion caliber fighter. I think both these guys are not really top 5 guys. Marvin Vettori is not a guy that's going to be a world champion. His striking just isn't good enough against strikers. His wrestling isn't good enough against real wrestlers. You saw Robert Whittaker just absolutely handle, didn't have any issues with a guy like Marvin Vettori. But in this matchup, I think stylistically it works really well for Marvin Vettori because Jared Cannonier doesn't really have anything off. I completely agree with your breakdown. When I broke this down, I thought, oh yeah, Marvin Vettori is probably going to be like a minus 175, maybe a minus 200. I might even still play value at minus 175 for a guy like Marvin Vettori because he can't really get knocked out. He's got wrestling. He's going to have the pace. He's going to have the pressure. And he's going to have the determination because he wants another title shot. He's going to have to win a few fights in a row to get it, but still 29 years old, hitting the prime of his career. He's still going to be improving where he is at in his career. And I think he comes forward, has the pressure, cage control, maybe gets a takedown or 2, and it's just all over Cannonier for this entire fight. I don't think he's going to be able to find if he's not really a finisher. Maybe if he gets able to get a takedown, maybe there's a weird kind of Vettori submission. But, I think it's a Vettori play all the way. Maybe we look stupid in this. Maybe Cannonier comes in, lands a big shot, hurts him, follows up with shots, and it gets a finish or something weird. But as far as a decision fight, I kind of trust Marvin Vettori to come in, push the pressure, push the pace, land the shots, land the volume, and then win this decision. So I'm kind of a Marvin Vettori play all the way, honestly.
No, I completely agree. I mean, obviously we're on the same page here. I am surprised it's being bet down to a pick'em. I get Jared Cannonier is a dangerous guy. But Marvin has proven to have an incredible chin. Jared Cannonier just had 25 minutes with Sean Strickland, who we saw get absolutely flatlined, right? We saw him get flatlined, and Jared Cannonier couldn't do anything like that to him. Marvin Vettori, we've never even seen him go cross-eyed for a half a second. I mean, his chin is held up. I imagine it'll still hold up, and I think that's Jared's only way to win.
You can't get knocked out if you live your life knocked out, because he's a little bit, those Italians.
What about him?
A little bit, something not right. So they're wired. I mean, they're wired a little bit different.
Anyway, we're both on the same side here. 8,000 into 8,200 in DraftKings. I'm going to spend the 8,000. If you are on the Cannonier side and you feel strongly, spend the $8,200, man. That's a great price point for a guy as dangerous. Jared Cannonier is the far more dangerous guy in this fight. It's not even close. But yeah, we're on the same page here, Jakey boy. And this line continues to tighten. I imagine it's going to take back off, but we'll see what happens. The weigh-ins will be interesting to see what happens to the line movement because Jared's massive. So I imagine there'll be a face-off the weigh-ins, and some people will pop in and be like, oh, wow, look how big this guy is. And then go from there.
Yeah, determine, does Marvin have his head shaved again? And what is he looking like? That head shaved Marvin that's a different dude.
I don't know. He's a handsome guy. They really they know how to build them over there. They know how to build them over there.
Head shaved Marvin is Jesus.
Anyway,
it's like the guy in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I don't remember. I've seen it. I don't remember it.
Oh, what a great movie!
I imagine. Guys, unlock the tools. It's not just about copy-paste bets. We've got tools. We have information. We have everything you need to build yourself winning tickets, winning DraftKings. The line movement tracker has identified a bunch of weirdo movement on this card. 5 lines had fully flipped from underdog to favorite. 16 fighters have had 20% or more in their line movement. All of these odds are from BetOnline, and BetOnline for this card specifically was the very first book to put numbers on the board. So the line move was more dramatic than you may see on your book, but that's what's so important. You could see what Vegas thought and then what the sharps thought. You're also going to get detailed data, metrics, analytics, literally 38 columns of that. There are people out there selling something that resembles this spreadsheet for $10. We're selling this with everything else for $10, and we're building a hub where you can go and do your own research. You could also tail our bets. You can build lineups. You can do all of those things and unlock the safety parlay. Up 8 units this year alone, 20 units since we've been tracking. And while 8 isn't the most dramatic number, that's almost 1 unit a month on just the safety parlay. And let's zoom in very quickly. A few of these times, we had a couple of drops. Some last-minute fight drops really reduced what the payouts would be. Only 0.2 units here, 0.3 units here. But when it
sound
hits,
like me talking about lock of the week.
Solid. I'm just explaining why it's 8 units.
No, I get it.
It's not just me and Jakey Boy. We got Artem here breaking down PFL, breaking down Bellator, LFA, and all the other cards. This week specifically, there is a Bellator and a PFL, and you can unlock his insight, his information, his bets, his leans for those as well as the UFC. And if you want $50, I'll send you $50. We on picks.com/bet. Sign up, make a deposit. We will send you $50. What do you think? Jakey Boy, any last words from you?
Exciting lock of the week video tomorrow. Look out for that. We've got a big one coming. There's a storm coming. Oh boy. I tell you right now, brother. That was tough to do.
Okay, goodbye.